20th episode of Damage Control Podcasting, a professionally unprofessional look at the conventions, ideas, and genres of filmmaking. I am here with...
Daniel Newkirk.
Mike Stanbridge.
Tyler Tipton.
Tyler's back.
Yay. Your mom's will be so happy.
Yay.
Finally, I'm out of the basement.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll go to the news real quick. The new Mutant trailer. I've made you all watch it.
Yes, I watched it.
So now y'all can finally talk about it. I told y'all to shut up. Now
we already had the conversation, man.
Okay.
No, I'm just
not. Yeah. All right. So Mike and I, shocker, are in disagreement. I do not like the horror direction they're going with New Mutants. I mean, it's a direction, but to me, I've never associated major Marvel characters with a horror movie before. And with the exception of Blade, but even that is more actiony, hack and slash with vampires than anything.
There's gotta be a horror Marvel.
The closest thing really is Midnight Suns. And
what about Midnighter?
Howard the Duck.
It's horror, not horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the actiony. I don't know. The more design for like a superhero, like especially with the cast that they have, because like. It's like what is it? It's Wolfsbane, Sunspot, Magic, and
So I'm assuming Sunspots in the dryer or the washer. Is that what that is?
Probably.
I don't know. I would imagine it's the dimension that Rasputin is connected to coming into our world.
It could be Limbo, yeah.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be anything.
That's cool. She's got a famous boyfriend, right?
Her brother's Colossus.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, right, gotcha. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it really depends on where they're going to go with her character.
Who do you guys think is the dude in the ball cap with the broken arm? Or you guys know
that's probably Cannonball.
Yeah.
Sam Guthrie.
He's got a famous slogan right before he goes off, doesn't he? Didn't he say something?
He yells Cannonball.
Yeah.
No, I thought he didn't he yell I'm nigh invincible or something?
He is when he's in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much indestructible until he yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pretty sure he's going through a couple.
Yeah, but I love the trailer. So I mean I like the direction that they're going in. I think it's a natural extension of what they're doing with Legion and Gifted. This is post X-Men, post Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. This is they're all gone in the world that Fox is creating now with the mutants.
What's the sexy club that they got?
Hellfire Club.
Is this it? Is that these guys?
No, they will be hinted at, and they guarantee you they will be hinted at, and they will come into it.
Okay.
But I think that the Fox is making a back end extended MCU with these three with that movie and the two shows that are currently running. I mean, they're very dark. They're very they're much more like the comics in later years, and even in the original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, they're not so much superheroes as they are hunted people with powers. And the shows are throwing all the tights out the window, like the original X-Men movies, which I think, while they were good, I think the first two X-Men movies were great. They may have been a mistake. I mean, and now they're seeing that, what Marvel has done, what DC's trying to do, and is going to fail miserably at.
We'll get there. I got that on here.
They're making a dystopic series of movies and TV shows that all interconnect, and it's going to be apart from the Marvel universe, and they could actually end up doing a better Marvel universe than Marvel's doing right now.
Oh, no way.
Absolutely.
If they're trying to do that, that's fine. If they want to create a better Marvel universe than Marvel, though. Marvel's done such a fantastic job.
But they're starting to screw up.
Why do we put them on the same side of the room?
I don't know, it was funny. I want to tell everyone who listens, I walked in, and these two were not talking to each other. They weren't even looking at each other. And there was no one else in the room, no one else in the building. I knew those two had gotten into it.
We were gotten into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we just had a discussion about Harry Potter before you walked in, and we were just like, the obvious things for us to discuss when we see each other are the stuff that are the things that we're going to discuss on the podcast. So we're like, I was waiting for you to show up so we can start arguing.
I thought about just starting a recorder just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Here, edit this in later.
I want to talk about a trend in the trailers that I kind of like. It irritated me at first, but I'm like really digging it. It's like the odd remixes of songs. Like that one had Another Brick in the Wall.
Sure.
Come As You Are for Defenders. Mm-hmm. And Come Together for Justice League. Like that, what do you guys think about?
It depends on the thing.
Because it's
but
not,
for the
because it's not even a cover. It's like an completely redone.
Didn't they put a new? What was the song that they redid another song for the JLA trailer too? Didn't they?
Oh, was it a Bob Dylan song? No, shit. Heroes.
Yeah. Those Philistines remade Bowie again. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
I kinda dig it, yeah.
some of them kind of fit. Some of them were kind of weird. I think that trend really started with the first one I can think of anyway was G.I. Joe had a remix of Seven Nation Army. For its trailer, and that's the first one I can think of. And I think some of them fit, some of them don't. Another Brick in the Wall was surprisingly fitting for New Mutants with the atmosphere. I really like that.
Yeah, but it was like a scary rendition.
Yeah, like it was great. Like I was like, you tell me you're gonna put another Brick in the Wall for a theme for a movie trailer, and like I'm kind of I don't know. And then like that one plays, and that was really good. I really liked it.
And Defenders had Come As You Are, which I kind of liked. That was kind of.
Well, we can't have an original movie without a remake of something in it. So that's.
I think that one was the one I liked least of all of them, to be honest. The Come As You Are. Come Together was fantastic.
For such a vanilla series, that's kind of an edgy song even now. I mean, for such a vanilla TV series, I mean, it's like you're expecting it kind of the Defender Come As You Are, it kind of built it up, and then you watch the series and like, okay, nothing really happens.
Hey man, I'm sorry, we're closed.
Oh, are you closed?
Yes,
All
the sign downstairs says closed.
Oh, I signed that.
I'll make sure to get that then. Thank you.
Another drug deal.
Anyway, yeah,
Is it the same dude as last time?
I don't know.
Maybe he just wants to be part of the podcast.
You should have just invited him over,
That's the
dude.
second time we had that chance.
No.
Okay.
Get strangers trying to sell magic cards off the street. They should jump in and start talking horror movies.
Okay, next topic. Something I don't want to go in depth with it. I just want to say I feel good that shit people receive consequences for their own actions. I think we know who we're talking about. Which leads Harvey Weinstein.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good that
I think we all know who we're talking about.
Tyler
OJ? What happened to him?
It's just good that finally shit people receive consequences. Because I know people in power in places I've worked who don't receive consequences. But it also leads me to Batfleck himself is under some scrutiny. So we may be getting a reboot in the DC universe quicker than
once every 3 months.
What did he do?
Yeah, I haven't heard about what happened with Affleck.
supposedly. Well, Batman.
What
They're different
What did
people.
Batman do? Ben Affleck was a really close protege of Weinstein, and there's several videos of him doing inappropriate stuff with ladies without the ladies' consent. And
Maybe that's what Kevin Smith meant in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
what's up?
Where he's
Oh,
like,
the
"Ha, you didn't find a hooker in my trailer today."
Well, no. That's consensual. Well, I mean,
well,
it's
yeah.
not. It's paid for, but this is non-consensual. Like I said, I don't want to go too much into. I'm just saying, Affleck is under some heat, so we may be getting a new Batman because I don't think DC wants to be.
Hey, yeah, I mean, we can hit 10 Batman actors in modern cinema here pretty soon.
Harvey
It's
Weinstein,
fine.
I'm glad. I didn't know.
We'll have to memorize it for the next trivia contest, though. That's the bitch.
Because clearly I didn't know. No one knew anything about this crap, but he was there's like you listen to any audio commentary from a New Line movie, and they just or Lionsgate or anything, and they just bitch about Harvey Weinstein being a complete asshole. So okay, moving on to happier stuff. The Last Jedi trailer. Within 24 hours, it received 120.1 million views.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is something else you two discussed. So let's put it on record. Let's put it on
We
vinyl.
hadn't actually gotten to that one yet, except apart
one.
from me bitching about porgs.
Let's put it on vinyl. Let's go.
I'm racist when it comes to the Millennium Falcon. It has to be a Wookiee or a human flying the Falcon.
The Wookiee's there.
Oh, so you didn't like Lando's co-pilot?
Oh, I did not like Lando's co-pilot at all. No, thank you. No, fuck, no.
I don't even remember what race that creature was.
I don't even remember.
It was a very Asian stereotype. It was a very Asian stereotype.
Well, there was an old Venture Brothers episode where the magician his neighbor Dr. Orpheus accidentally summons him from an old trading card. Yeah. They don't know what to do with him because he's such an inconsequential character. But no, I don't want a penguin flying the Millennium Falcon. That's my only bitch about the trailer. I hope it focuses mainly on Luke and Rey.
I mean, really, was the penguin actually flying? I kind of, when I saw that, I looked at, oh, Chewie's got a pet, and I
don't
did not
think that's,
see it as.
no.
I thought it was like a Star Wars version, like the hula girls that you put on. Like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
dashboard.
like-
No.
It's just kind of there.
No,
Yeah, like-
that's something for Disney to sell. It's
You
gonna
haven't
be, it's
been
gonna
here
have
in
to
months, and
do
that's what you
something.
contribute?
Well, I mean,
They repainted
sorry.
BB-8 and they threw in a discolored penguin so they'd have product to sell for Christmas. I mean that's the only reason.
What
That's there.
Do we feel like Kylo's redeeming himself? Like that kind of pisses me off. Why can't we just have a bad guy?
Well, the way it looked to me was that Kylo's going to try to turn Rey and may actually succeed. Maybe it's going to go really, really dark, which would be awesome.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I saw more of like Kylo's like shit.
No, I
killed
think
my
I
dad.
think because in the last in the original trilogy, it went the other route. Maybe this time they're going to go that route, and
I would be a diehard fan.
I would love it if it had a super, super dark ending, and then they have to solve everything in the third movie. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I also liked how Luke looks scared. Like he's not some omnipotent Jedi god. Like he's like, oh fuck.
I think he might be scared of his omnipotence. Really, that's why
But
he's
I
hiding
like
out.
that though. He's not. He's not Darth Vader. He's not Yoda.
well,
he's like shit. What am I gonna
But
do?
my takeaway from that is he's so powerful. That's why he's hiding and had the map hidden and everything else, because everybody in the galaxy is looking for him,
Right.
because he is the strongest person with the Force out there.
yeah. Well, really, at the end of Empire or Jedi.
Return of
Return
the
of the
Jedi.
Jedi. Thank you. It is not the Jedi Strikes Back. No, that's
Phantom Menace. You're talking
No,
about.
yeah. At the end of movie 6, I mean, is there any other Force users besides Leia?
It's only Luke and Leia, and Leia's
Yeah.
not trained. And I mean,
No,
So,
Really?
so I
Surely
mean,
the
so
extended-
he is the best by default.
No,
Right.
surely in the extended universe there's.
None of it's canon now.
yeah.
Disney when they bought movie 7, they scratched all of the
Yeah,
EU.
all of the extended universe does not exist.
I guess the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars TV
Well,
show
that's-
is
yeah,
still.
but it's
still-
canon because it's been broadcast.
Okay, if we're doing canon, then there had
on that.
there had to been you have to count Snoke because there's now a Sith Lord. Well, is he a Sith?
We
Lord?
don't know what
We
he
don't
is.
know.
Well, he's got a red lightsaber.
He's Jar Jar Binks.
Who?
Jar Jar.
Well,
Binks.
we have
where's
a-
his red lightsaber at?
Kylo Ren.
That's Kylo's lightsaber.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is so there
Yeah.
had to have been another Force user at the end of
Well,
Jedi because it had to have been Snoke.
No, because Luke trained
the Sith-
Kylo.
We don't
otherwise the Sith
know
would've been
who or
dead.
what Snoke is. There's 10 million theories. We don't know if he's a Jedi, a Sith, or whatever.
But there had to have been because there's now a Sith, so someone had to continue the
No,
tradition.
how is there a Sith?
There's no Sith. Sith. This is a religion.
Kylo Ren is
He's
No,
not
he's
a
not a
Sith.
Sith.
I'm saying
He's
it.
not a
He's
Sith.
got a
He's
red
dark.
lightsaber.
He's
no, the
dark
red-
Jedi.
Yeah,
Gray
He's
Jedi.
no dark. The
No.
two those are different.
No.
Gray Jedi is completely
I'm
different.
telling you he's a Sith. I'm telling. Snoke is a Sith.
Are we having a Star Wars
Maybe.
podcast? I thought
Maybe.
I'm going to explain to you the new format. We're going
No, because this is how it fits into my world. He's a Sith.
I'm saying he's a Sith.
Google it.
Yeah. Sith is a religion. Dark side.
So's Jedi's.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Sith is a religion. Not every fallen or dark Jedi is a Sith. Huh?
You're making him so mad.
Yeah.
You, Mike. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I was getting dangerously close to the mic.
Well, did we think? Do we think that that's the kill for? Do you think that's Kylo Ren gonna kill Leia, or is that just making us think that's how Leia's?
I think that if it wasn't edited that way to begin with, it's edited that way now to
yeah,
enhance the
because
story.
it's confirmed. Because they
she's-
said Leia
yeah.
was going to play a big part in 9, but
Well,
it's confirmed that she's not going to be in 9 at all.
Right,
Yeah.
and they said that actually when she died, they said that all of her scenes for 8 and 9 had been shot. So anything that she would be doing in 9 is in the can. So,
Honestly, what I kind of hope happens is that we get some sort of role reversal. Like, the entire trailer is shot to assume that Snoke is speaking to Kylo, and I like the idea that maybe Snoke is speaking to Rey instead.
yeah.
A lot of people
And
says Rey's fighting stance is like the Palpatine's fighting stance.
no, not really. She has
That's
more.
what the YouTube said.
Maybe a little
YouTube's
bit.
always right.
But I mean, Palpatine uses a style called Vapad. Which
You gotta sift through official information and what blogs and fan theories are. Dude,
JJ
there's a ton of
JJ
information out
called
there.
me.
But
He's like, I'm like, yeah, what's up, JJ?
yeah, yeah, sure he did.
I said, I'm
Yeah.
on the other phone with Snyder. I gotta hang up.
Who called you?
Zack Snyder.
No, I mean
JJ.
JJ. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said JD. I'm like, what the hell is he
No,
talking
that's his
about?
brother. I don't talk to him.
J.D. Abrams.
JD Abrams here.
Anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it's yeah. I hope we get kind of a role reversal. So we assume that Snoke is speaking to Rey, and in movie 2, what I really want to have happen is Rey fall to the dark side.
Oh, absolutely.
And then Kylo in that opening sequence where he's fighting the TIE fighter be the opening of the movie, and then spend the movie of him redeeming himself. So movie 3, we have Kylo's the good guy killing Rey the bad guy.
That would be
I don't want Kylo to
I would be so cool with that.
I really like that planet. Crate. It's really cool. The white ash with the red underneath it.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool.
That was real sweet.
I
design.
like the Simeon walkers. They're kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that they got more armor on the front legs.
Do you think that's what it is to cut the cables?
I 100% think that's to keep them from getting hoffed.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a verb.
I
Anyway.
think that came on American Idol though. I don't think we can use getting hoffed now. It's
This bit of news isn't really important. I just thought it was kind of cool. Last Friday, as of this recording, the 15th of October, 2017. Last Friday was Friday the 13th. We are now approaching the longest interval between Friday the 13th films. Jason Goes to Hell. The time between Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X was 8 years, 8 months, and 2 weeks. Freddy vs. Jason and the remake was 5 years and 6 months. And the remake to last Friday, which is what the scheduled release was for the new one, was 8 years and 8 months. Not really important. I just thought it was interesting. Okay.
You're the only one.
all right,
Wait,
Clavin.
You're the only one.
Has it been 8 years since the one that
The reboot, yeah.
Jared Padalecki was in?
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah,
Really? Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
think it's been
yeah,
8
yeah.
years.
So I think Supernatural
Yeah.
just
yeah.
started.
2009, buddy.
Oh, and I got
Wow.
a bone to fucking pick with Supernatural. When we get to the werewolf section of this podcast,
Are we getting to that section?
Yes, we are. All right.
We haven't even got out of introduction yet, have
Hey,
we?
no, what last part of the introduction? The birthdays.
You should have been here last week when we're like, okay, well, it's just Adam, Josh, and I, and we're gonna have to stretch this podcast out a little bit and find out that we didn't even get through the introduction until an hour and a half in. Yeah.
we can take one topic and
Yeah.
go for 3 hours. It's not that big of a deal.
Slasher films are the genre that I know most about, so I had to like shut my mouth up on them. So, okay, birthday. Born today, Dominic West. Dominic West. No.
Don't look at me. I'm not.
300.
Okay.
Forgotten.
Was he in 300?
He was probably on the wire.
I don't know. I've forgotten.
Probably on the wire.
No, 300. He was. he was the dude.
It was $2.99.
300. He was the dude. He was the dude selling out the Spartans.
Oh.
He had aligned himself with the Persians.
I don't like him
Oh,
already.
He's everyone knows him, but they don't really know. He
I'm trying to think of that character's name. It's
next.
Next.
Anyway, continue.
it's P something.
Penny Marshall, director. I know. I can't think of
Hocus
his name.
Pocus.
Okay. Everyone knows this dude. I know everyone knows him, but you may not know him by name. Larry Miller.
Ah,
Yeah.
Larry.
He's a
Good old-
stand-up comic.
Yeah.
Also,
He had a TV show for
the
a while.
best movie that I know him from is Chairman of the Board. Carrot Top's Chairman of the Board.
Who was he in Chairman of the
He
Board?
was the dude that was supposed to be Chairman of the Board before Carrot
Oh,
Top.
that dude?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Wait.
he's in 10 Things I Hate About You.
No, he's in
You-
everything. He is.
You watched a Carrot Top movie?
You know
Dude,
what?
I used to
thought this
love
was a
that
no
movie.
judgment zone.
No judgment zone, but you're the one that talks about not
Chairman of the
liking
board.
comedy, and
On the
I
board.
suppose that stays true with the Carrot Top movie.
Carrot Top
But-
No,
was
that-
He was scarred early. If he that's why he doesn't like comedy.
Hey, that movie was actually really, really good.
no, it
right next to his
wasn't. No, it
Gallagher,
wasn't.
right next to his Gallagher collection.
This is for
Pieces of
me.
just watermelon that he keeps on his mantle. I got this.
This one is for me and Stanbridge. Matt Kieslar, middleman himself.
Middleman.
Middleman himself.
Yeah, I love that show.
Writer of Godfather Mario Puzo. Puzo? Is that right?
Yep. Who's old?
Okay, I know this is a family or a family-esque show, but
He's cussed like 10 times already.
It's a hard PG-13 show. I ran I ran across this. I had to put it on there. I even looked the trailer up. Persia DiCarlo, his birthday today. She is the star of
She's a porn star. Got
Yeah.
$10.
the Da Vinci Load 2, Angels and
Yep.
Seamen.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to put it on there. I looked up the trailer. It does not look good, even for porn. It does not look good. Okay, moving on. Okay, so episode 9, we are talking about vampires, werewolves, and kaiju. Oh my! Thank you.
That's why does he write?
I thought I was being fucking witty.
He spent all week on
Yeah.
that one
I
line,
did,
dude. You
man.
know he did.
He's been working on this one since we started.
Look, I work backwards. I come up with like a concept, and then I work backwards.
I was at the first one, and then I'm like, I'm out. And I was like, I'll come back.
have
and
the longest-
Maybe it'll be better. And then nope.
We have the longest script writing process for an unscripted podcast out there. It's insane.
All he's gotta do is write bullet points.
No, I even wrote out. What did I write out? I wrote something out. That it was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's my line. Hold on. Sorry.
Cue cards.
Cue.
No, okay. So the Harvey Weinstein.
At 45 minutes and 12 seconds, Mike goes off on a 5-minute rant.
No. The Harvey Weinstein thing, like the Harvey Weinstein thing. I knew I didn't want to talk about it. I actually wrote, "Don't want to talk about it. Just want to say, good that shit people receive consequences." I fucking remember that. I wrote that down.
All right, dude. You've spent all of the cursing for our hard PJ-13
Okay.
by minute 21.
Okay, so let's. That's 21 minutes.
That's what.
Oh,
Minute 21. Yes.
Oh, I think you said a minute. No. All right.
Well,
So
I guess I got
we've hit our allotment of swearing. We've already broken Rule 34.
I got the good looks and the brains of the family.
But I got the length. Anyway,
Ah.
so
Leg,
talk-
baby.
And there's the R. Okay.
so we're talking about
Deadpool 3.
So we're talking about vampires, okay? So here's a little trivia question before we get into it. How many actors, you don't have to name them, just number. How many actors have portrayed Dracula? Film only. We're not talking TV, we're not talking plays.
That's in the hundreds, dude. No?
7.
No.
9.
It's
Close. You're close
10.
to 9. No. Any guess?
8.
Just because I think it would be incredibly awesome. I'm going to guess 13.
69. Yeah.
it was up there.
Why did I knew you were going to say that?
I put this in for, oh shit, what's his name?
You don't have it written down?
Dude who's here.
Josh?
No, not Josh. I know Josh. Cody. No, not
Oh.
Cody. Cody.
Cody, yeah.
Sorry, Cody. I really did. Gerard Butler. He played Dracula in Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
Lon Chaney Jr., son of Dracula. This I'm kind of interested in. Phil Fondacaro. He played Dracula in Creeps. He's a little dude. He was an Ewok. I thought that's interesting. A little spin on Dracula.
They've done just about every variation of Dracula at this point.
Dave Niven played Dracula in Vampira. And Mr. Brady himself, Robert Reed, played Dracula in the episode Vampire of Fantasy Island.
You just said movies. Didn't he say movies?
Yeah,
He said only movies. Now he's bringing up all
No
the
TV shows.
69 in the movies. Well, let's talk about all the TV show
As soon as I
Draculas.
said that. Okay. All right. So let's. You know what, guys? Professionally unprofessional. I work really hard on this
You
shit.
should see the shade of red that Adam is at the
I
moment.
work
It
really
is.
hard on this shit. Leave me alone.
Work harder.
All right, so let's define a vampire. Now we're talking cinema. I'm not talking mythological. I'm not talking the different the Japanese version of vampire, not the actual real world definition. I'm talking about the cinema definition, because we can get into some deep shit with the Native Americans version of a vampire, the Japanese. But I'm just talking cinema alone.
Twilight vampire. Worst vampire ever.
They sparkle.
Oh, we're getting there. So, any takers?
What's the point?
To me, I think a vampire has two major, or I guess 3 major qualities. One, the allergic to sunlight. Drink blood, struggle with humanity. And everything else beyond that can be fluid within their own mythos. But to me, those 3 things make a vampire, in my opinion.
I concur.
Okay, I tried to find the most generic definition: a corpse that leaves its grave at night to drink the blood of the living by biting their necks with long, pointed canine teeth. Generic cinema definition of a vampire.
Sure.
Okay, so famous movie vampires. Chime in anytime you want. I put down Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
Blackula.
Shit, he's on here. Yeah, Black.
Mama Wambe.
Yep,
Love that man.
That's actually what I put him down.
Mama Wambe.
The Soul Brothers Bite is out of sight.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Blackula.
Great flick. Both of them actually. Scream Blackula. Scream is actually better than the
Pam
original
Grier's
Blackula.
in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula. I put this in here for you. David, Marco, and Dwayne from the Lost Boys.
Absolutely.
I don't know their names. 30 Days a Night Vampires is what I put. 'Cause I like
Do they have names?
I don't think so.
Ice vampires.
Yeah. This is for Tyler. Edward from Twilight.
Yeah. That's my boy.
And, of course, Blackula. Any others you guys want to throw in there?
Deacon Frost from the Marvel Universe.
Sure.
Deacon... Blades?
Blade. Blade's
Stephen
main.
Dorff played him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
No?
We're just talking about movies or shows too.
Sure, he's got some shows on there.
Mr. Brady from that episode of Fantasy Island.
Well, I mean, you have I've talked about this on the Guilty Pleasures, but Vampire
God, here we
Diaries,
go.
Stefan and Damon Salvatore.
Oh, the entire Buffy universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Angel,
Buffyverse.
Angel is huge. You know. It's
Yeah, Angel.
Spike.
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 Yeah,
Oh,
Spike,
Spike.
Angel, the Master. Yeah.
Buffy had a really scary episode. I think it's famous. It's like fucking creepy. The dudes were in suits.
Hush.
Oh, is that what it was?
the silent
the gentleman.
episode?
Oh my
The
God,
gentlemen were the
Yeah, that
the
was
episode's
a
called
scary
Hush.
episode.
That was a great
I remember
episode.
being creeped out.
Sure.
Buffy, it doesn't hold up its age very well, but that show was amazing, and anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong.
Did they have vampires in Big Wolf on Campus?
Yeah, oh yeah. Do you remember Big Wolf on Campus? You seem like a guy that loved Big Wolf on Campus.
So
I
you're a
remember that
vampire
one.
that comes out at night to suck people's blood. How's that going for
Yeah.
you?
Oh my god, I gotta do an episode on that.
Oh, there was Jim Carrey was in a vampire movie.
Yeah, Once Bitten.
No,
Yeah.
that's Nick Cage.
Twice Bitten? Once Bitten?
No, Once Bitten
Wasn't
was. Once Bitten is.
What, Dracula?
No, that was definitely Jim
No,
Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
Nick
no,
Cage was in
he
one.
was in one too, but it was Once Bitten was definitely Jim Carrey.
IMDb.
I don't. Are you sure it was Once Bitten? I thought it was Twice Bitten.
No, Once Bitten.
Because
No,
I
that's
thought the whole
Once
plot
Bitten,
line was you
Twice
had to be
Shy.
bitten. Had to be bitten 3 times. Well, that was the whole plot line.
I'm pretty sure it was called Once Bitten. And-
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was one of
What
Jim
was
Carrey's first movies. It's his career went to crap after that until he
Yep,
did.
Once Bitten. All right, fair enough.
Until he did.
What was the one Nick Cage
Earth
was in?
Girls
That
Are
was
Easy.
Vampire's Kiss, Vampire's Bite, Bitten by a Vampire. Help me out, I'm treading water.
I don't know.
What are you
I'm
looking
looking
for
at
again?
Nicolas Cage.
He was in.
I'm gonna have to-
Nick Cage was in one early.
Yeah, he was in-
early. It
sure,
was
sure.
Vampire's Bite, Vampire's Kiss.
Moonstruck?
No.
No, not
Alright.
Moonstruck.
No, this is.
I don't know, I'm
before-
that was a werewolf movie. Come on.
yeah. No, this
with
is
Cher.
before. This is before Raising Arizona, I believe.
Yeah, it was way early on.
Yeah.
God, I'm sifting through all these bad movies.
Yeah.
Probably all of
lot
Adam's
of-
favorites.
He also did. He wasn't in it, but he produced. I believe he directed Shadow of a Vampire, about the making of Nosferatu.
That was an interesting, interesting
Nick Cage
movie.
directed that?
He either produced or
He
directed
produced it. Yeah, he was.
'Cause,
yeah, I can't see. That was a
'cause-
great movie.
Hobgoblin himself, or the Green Goblin himself, played Count Orlok.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of really.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vampire's Kiss.
Vampire's
There you
okay.
Only 1 year away from Moonstruck. I was close. And it was after Raising Arizona.
Oh, it was.
Yep, 1988 for Vampire's Kiss, 87 for Raising Arizona.
Okay. All right. Next section here. Ways to kill. I'm really dedicated to like hyphens and dashes. Like, there's a lot of dashes on here. I don't know why. Just
Thank you to whoever invented the hyphen
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
dash, Adam.
I can't-
my email at work, my work email.
You want to give that out? For
No, I do not.
For the 3 listeners.
It has a dash in it, and every time I have to give it to contractors, they think it's like a hyphen or an underscore. I'm like, no, dash. They're like, so you mean like an underscore? I'm like, no, a dash. I don't. Anyway,
Tell him a minus sign.
minus sign.
That's the only. If you're in Quincy, Illinois, that's how you relate to those.
Well, I work in Center though.
And where?
Center, Missouri.
Okay, then definitely tell them a minus sign.
Anyway, ways to kill vampires. Decapitate. okay, before we get into this, even when I was a kid, I thought these were bullshit because there all these special ways to kill these creatures would kill any living thing on the face of the planet.
I think a lot of the special ways to kill them are like kind of default things, like decapitation. Yeah, everything gets killed by decapitation because everything can't live without a head. So like,
Except for cockroach, they can live for 3 days, and the only reason why it dies is because it can't take on water.
so not having a head kills the cockroach after 3 days.
But if you can somehow get it to get water into its system, it would still live.
Oh,
Pickle Rick.
Is that in that? Oh, I didn't. I knew that from Ricky Gervais show.
fair enough.
Okay. A way better podcast than this. Okay. Ways to kill vampires: decapitation, stuffing the severed head's mouth with garlic. Okay.
Sometimes holy wafer, but yeah.
Okay. So the garlic's funny because the garlic came about was when actual vampire hunting was a real thing. Okay, when they would actually dig up graves because they didn't understand how the body decomposed. The way that came into vampire lore was they would put cloves of garlic around their neck to hide the smell from the corpses, and somehow that worked its way into.
That was all hype from the garlic growers industry, though.
Oh,
It really was. That they just
big
wanted
garlic.
There was a big garlic
garlic.
concern in Europe at that point. They were, how are we going to sell more garlic? You know,
Vampires.
we can't just keep importing all of it to Italy. We need to get the other countries on
You know
board.
what's really popular right now? Vampires. I didn't know this, but a sacred bullet, not necessarily silver. It says a sacred bullet.
Right. And then later movies they started carving crosses into the bullets to kill the
Priest
vampires.
did that. Was that in the movie Priest? Yeah. Stake through the chest. Parentheses, not necessarily through the heart, but I would say it would almost have to go through the heart. I guess.
There would be no point to
Yeah.
it without it destroy. It's destruction of the heart.
Yeah, that's always the mythos, but no one can ever actually hit the heart, apparently.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to come back to Vampire Diaries, which accurately talks about staking a vampire through the heart. Like, they talk about it, and there's so many times that they stake them, and they big shock, and then they're like, "No, I'm fine. You didn't break the rib cage." And then
They're like, oh, fuck, come on.
yeah, like
guys."
they talk about how incredibly difficult it is actually to push a wooden stick through
isn't
your
the
someone's
heart
heart.
right behind the sternum on the left? Isn't it like pretty? Because it's not.
Hang on, I know it's Sunday and it's a bit faux pas, but I'm going to stand for the national anthem and see if I can. Yeah, it's right here for here.
Yeah. Of course, the sun, which I got that later on down here, but the trope. Well, this is in the trope section, but the trope that sunlight kills vampires actually did not start until the movies. That started with 1922's Nosferatu. That wasn't in earlier books.
Interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't in Dracula actually.
Yeah,
They-
yeah, because he walks around.
He
yeah.
walks around in the daylight. Yeah.
Any
That's 'cause
others?
he's Gary Oldman.
Well,
yeah.
you know,
You can do whatever you want.
Any
Yeah,
others?
that's right.
Anyone can think of?
reach in that coffin and grab my wallet.
Submersed in running water.
Submersible, so drowning.
Well, no, they burn away.
In running water?
Yeah, there's a vampire in old Romanian mythology that they could not cross running water.
Oh,
And if
that was
you-
in there, but I thought
yeah.
that was weird, so I didn't put
No,
it.
No,
That's
that's
common.
legit. Yeah.
What's the running
so if
water
you,
deal
it's something to do with like a representation of baptism. So they can't cross running water, and if you submerge them in running water, it dissolves them and eats and destroys them.
That's the same thing they do. Like with the witches were supposedly not able to cross running water also, and that's where the.
So if you're being chased by a vampire, just hop in the shower.
So,
well,
but
no.
well, like if you could get a current in your bathtub, sure,
Yeah.
but
I have a
They can't
really
cross
big
streams
bathtub.
I get
like
it.
like one of those pools that
Yeah.
always flows,
Yeah.
like that is a
Yeah.
vampire's
Yeah.
worst nightmare.
That's why I bought one. just in case. You're gonna use this for exercising? Nope, vampires.
That's
Well,
vampires.
exercising vampires.
Ooh, nice. Got him. Big pool. Got him. Tropes of a vampire film. I got use of the name Alucard. That's Dracula backwards.
Very popular.
The late. Did anyone watch The Batman? It was the young Bruce Wayne. It had the Joker that looked like a simian ape.
That was a movie?
No, it was a TV show. It was The Batman.
Oh.
It was young Batman. He had the blue Wi-Fi technology. The Edge.
Yeah. I've seen a couple episodes of it. Yeah.
The you remember, the Penguin was like a master karate expert. There was a straight to DVD movie, The Batman vs. Dracula, where Prince Alucard came to Gotham, and then so Bruce, being the detective that he is, wrote Alucard and was trying to figure it out, and Alfred like grabbed it and pulled it up to a mirror, and it said Dracula.
And that's why you gotta have Alfred.
And in Scrubs,
Dr. Acula.
And in Scrubs, White Scrubs and Black Scrubs was trying to write a movie called Dr. Acula.
Yeah, that was going on for the entire 9 seasons.
That was pretty
of
funny.
Show. Yeah.
I did not like the last 2 seasons of that show.
I got bored with it about 6 seasons.
Because like JD and Turk, they left. Or no, Turk stayed on, but there was like a teaching season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that we
and
don't
then
count
JD
that season.
came back for the last season.
That season doesn't count.
And then Dr. Cox leave.
Probably. We don't talk about that season.
Okay. Okay, so Alucard, there's always. I try to think of one that didn't have it. A council of vampires. There's always a group of elders, usually making decisions, policing other vampires, and upholding the masquerade that there are no.
Hotel Transylvania. There's only one vampire.
But is that?
Dracula.
Well, I'm talking. Oh,
I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula. He's the only one.
you sons of bitches.
Isn't Van Helsing? Isn't he the only? Like he has brides, but there's no council.
Motherfuckers, just poking holes everywhere.
I swear to God, I researched this for years.
I did.
There's a council of vampires.
I did everything except read the book.
Cast No Shadow.
I don't remember that. Okay.
We think that is.
Well, the mirrors and the shadow thing go hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, the casting no shadow.
What do you
thing,
think? What do you think that's supposed to be a metaphor? It's like no soul, I guess.
That would make sense. Yeah. Well, lack of soul.
Yeah, but
Struggle of humanity.
You're sexy vampires, don't they have souls?
Oh yeah, and they cast shadows, and they can look at each other in the mirror.
Well, yeah. If they can't look in the mirror, then they can't be sexy.
Yeah,
I mean, you just don't wake up like that.
Some of us do.
And now, granted, I really like some of the scenes where I get to see 2 of Damon, one him and then one in the mirror.
Moving on.
All right. Hey, I was saying that if Elena didn't sleep with Damon soon, I was going to. I'm just saying.
I have no idea. Okay, day walking vampire. This, I already said that. The trope of daylight is lethal to vampires. That started with Nosferatu. Let's see. Blade is a day walking vampire.
Vampires can walk in the day in Supernatural.
Yep, Supernatural.
Even though you hate that show.
I got a bone to pick with that show when we get to
No one
werewolves.
likes you.
I mean, the Twilight series we talked earlier have day-walking vampires.
But they sparkle.
They do.
What was the point behind that? There was no.
I never watched a damn episode.
They never explained it.
They never explained it in the movies. Maybe they explained it in the books. I haven't gone that far. That's a question for my mom, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I always, when I saw the movies, I always thought it was a connection back to Anne Rice's vampires.
Oops, sorry.
Because Anne Rice's vampires in her books, that's Vampire Lestat, Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned. Her vampires would turn to stone after a certain period of time. So I thought it was kind of a likening or a nod to her books where they had some sort of kind of crystalline skin.
Oh, so they could.
Well,
be...
Anne Rice's vampires, they could actually be out in the sun after a certain amount of time, and I mean after a certain amount of years, they would just tan. The Lestat at the end of the series is just he flies into the sun all the time, and just gets a tan.
They can fly.
Yeah, he can. They start. Yeah, that's another power that they get as they get older, or they've had more of the original blood. The vampires in do you ever read the Anne Rice books?
No.
He doesn't read.
I've
That is a
noticed.
lie.
Word make brain hurt.
That is a lie. I buy a lot of books at this store.
Dark Promising Games.
Yeah.
And he looks
Quincy,
at
Illinois.
he looks at the pictures.
What about True Blood vampires? Is there any new additions to the mythos in those?
No,
No.
it's all standard.
Silver.
Well,
Silver.
no, silver's that's not new.
It's not new, but it's very uncommon. Like you don't get to see a whole lot of.
Oh, in the
silver.
Hammer House, that was they would always you have to tie. Well, this goes way back, but affixing a silver cross to the inside of their coffin would keep them trapped. Tying them up in silver chains. I mean, that's all back in Dark Shadows and all you know.
Dark Shadow. Okay,
Yeah,
I was
yeah. Yeah, all
I
the way.
mean-
But the silver is as a binding, always.
Yeah, but I mean, silver is commonly like left out of the tropes. Like same thing with like the running water. Like they'll hit something and then they'll leave it off, and then
I don't think
like
silver's that. I mean, I've watched a lot of vampire movies. I don't think silver's that uncommon,
You have to
especially.
be pure silver. Like, what if you're like, crap, I got some stainless steel. You think this is close
And that,
enough?
but that's that was always the silver stuff going back. I mean, that was when the mirror stuff came
Daybreaker
around.
movie.
And the not being able to photograph because that all used silver nitrate.
That was-
The mirrors had a
vampire
silver back,
technology.
and that's why they wouldn't
Yeah,
be able to.
vampires,
It's the
yeah.
same with that was an image of them that they wouldn't be able to see. That was always my take on that.
that's interesting.
But they couldn't be photographed. They could, or wouldn't show up on photographs. They couldn't see themselves in mirrors. The shadow thing, I don't know.
How'd
how
they
that
shave?
Huh?
How'd they shave?
Their hair wouldn't grow. They stay in the same state.
But how did?
It
How did
depends depending on mythos. Yeah, like in a very popular game universe, if you is a vampire, if you modified your body in any way, chopped off a limb, tattoo, cut your hair, dyed your hair, the next day or next night when you woke up, you would look exactly as you were when you got turned.
So there's like no consequences. It's kind of like, all right, guys, watch this. Wake up next morning, ta-da!
Pretty much.
What's the name of the game where you're in like the Wild West? The Dark
Oh
Watch?
my god, yeah, that was a cool
That was a
one.
good game.
That was a good Dark Watch. You guys ever play that?
Mm-mm. I didn't say that I
It
have.
was like a PS2 game.
You're like this outlaw and like you're trying to rob this train and then you find out it's like this vampire. You end up like letting. It was like one of the first games I can remember where like you have a choice whether like depending on what you did in the game, like you get one ending where you're a good guy, or you get one ending where you're just like batshit crazy and kill everybody.
Variation on the vampire human crossbreed. That seems to be kind of a Blade. Going back to Blade once again, he's a vampire human crossbreed.
One of the few, actually.
He's not really. His mother was bitten by a vampire when she was like 8 months pregnant with him, and it
Right,
caused
but-
him to be born. So he has diluted vampire blood in his veins. There's no actual. I don't know that there's any actual breeding going on.
But he's got,
Yeah.
he's got all the, well, at least in the first movie. I don't know about the actual comic book. He's got all the benefits of vampirism. that
No,
he would-
he's
Yeah, not all of the
Not all
weaknesses.
of
The only
the-
weakness he got was the bloodthirst.
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. It's
Yeah.
not breeding, it's not human and vampire mating, but it's still kind of a mingling, not quite full vampire, not human.
Yeah, but it's also stuff that could be solved with some it's more science than it is myth. The process could have been recreated by diluting vampire blood if any of them have actually it couldn't have just because it was in vitro or I don't want to say not in vitro because he was she was 8 months pregnant with Blade when she was bitten.
Who names their kid Blade? It's like
she
it's like
didn't.
No,
it's
he-
like it's like
he
you,
named
it's
himself
like
Blade.
you
He
name
named
your kid.
himself.
It's like you name your
His
kid.
name was Curtis, wasn't it?
I was just being stupid. I really
I think so.
Something
That sounds
was-
right.
I think it was Curtis.
Something
Yeah.
close to that.
All right.
Because she calls him by his name in the movie.
Who names their kid Adam?
Your mother.
Someone who,
That's-
well, I mean, now let's explore that. I
Yeah.
mean, from a biblical standpoint, who would name their kid Adam? Someone
First
on a
of
bit
all-
of a power trip.
First of all, King Randor and Queen Marlena would name their kid Adam. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and he's a huge wimp.
Vampires are sex gods, sex appeal, evil is sexy.
Yes.
Mostly, yes.
I mean, there are exceptions, but for the most part, especially nowadays, with the few 30 Days a Night, they're all kind of sexy vampires now, or emo vampires. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like monstrous vampires personally.
I do.
But isn't that one of like their powers? Like they had like the ability to seduce people.
That was Dracula, yeah.
Yeah,
But in the
mind
book,
control.
Dracula's a disgusting, dirty old man.
hey,
Yeah,
you know
he's
what?
ugly as
Maybe
hell.
Yeah.
There's
they
one
find
Cheney
that
who made it look
sexy.
good.
Don't
Huh?
be judging people. Maybe they find that sexy.
No.
Dirty old men vampires need loving too.
Well, same thing with the Phantom of the Opera.
And then there's a trope of the virus.
That like the strain. Yeah.
Is that what they are? Vampires in that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's yeah, dude. And it's
one of those
it's a
books.
disease.
I don't.
It's
is
a
it-
really good series. You
It's a
should check
book.
it.
I thought it
The
was a show.
Strain? No, it's a TV series.
Yeah,
It was based on a
TV
comic. I
series.
think.
Yeah, based off a comic book.
But it's
do
really
you
good.
have it here?
Yeah.
Is it one of
I
those
did
dollar
anyway.
ones?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably
Okay.
be too new for that.
Okay. So,
Nothing relevant to the podcast is going to be in the dollar bins.
so, what does it take to write one? What does it take to write a vampire flick? What things we want to change, things we love, a new angle.
For me personally, vampire movies are interesting to me when you cut out the science.
I like the mystery.
Yeah, I like magical vampires. So like I've always been annoyed when vampire hunters grab their UV light, shine it in a vampire's face, and oh, I have a UV weapon now. No, the sun. There's some magical property to the sun. You cannot recreate it.
Yeah, I don't want. They're not vampires. They've got a hyperhemoglobin disease. They're not actual.
Yeah,
no,
I-
they're fucking vampires.
Exactly. I hate
You
adding
like the
science into the
science?
mystics.
I don't know. I liked parts of it. I mean, I absolutely. I mean, I don't think that, like for instance, Lost Boys. I think filling up a water pistol full of holy water and garlic, it was kind of. I don't think that you can't really call that science, and it's supposed to be something that works. So I mean, but it's an excellent. I mean, there are other ways to go about it without having to.
Yeah, like a super soaker full of holy water.
A super
I'm
soaker
in
full of
for
holy
that.
water, yeah.
Like that's fine.
And a crossbow that shoots wooden stakes, modified. I mean, I don't think that the science takes away from it too much, except for the sunlight thing. But that's it's a toy, I mean, it's that there are other toys that could be used to create the same effect.
Yeah, but to me, it's more interesting. Like I hated
Right.
the vampire cure that happened in the Blade film that just made the vampires explode.
Well, they
And-
didn't know where they were going.
Yeah.
They had a hit off the first movie. They never had planned for a sequel. Then all of a
That was
sudden
in
they had
the first
to
movie.
Huh?
That was in the first movie.
The Cure?
Yeah, that's how they killed Deacon Frost in the first Blade movie.
Oh, you mean the
Blue
oh
Yeah.
that
You know how that movie was originally supposed to end?
No.
The Blood God was actually supposed to, because Blade stopped him before the Blood God, whatever, came about. In the original ending, they've actually got animatics of it. You can watch it, where the blood God appears, and it's just a big old blood hurricane, and then like Deacon, the CGI effect that wasn't completed, so it's just like a really crappy PS1 effect style. And then you got like a really bad comped Steven Dorff's head sticking out. It's horrible. But that was how the original.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I want to take away the secret organization of the vampire hunters, the Vampire Council.
all the stuff they stole from Highlander the series.
Yeah, I want the monster vampire. I like the monster. I like Count Orlok, the way he looks. He's cool. I like the ones from Dusk Till Dawn. I like the way
Pretty
those
cool,
look. I wouldn't want to see. I would want to make a movie to where it's just normal people. They run across something by accident, or these people, or like 30 Days a Night, where it's just like normal life. These supernatural creatures come in. They have to figure it out. And then there's no secret organization. There's no Joe Explain It All scene. That I hate Joe Explain It All scenes because it's so contrived. It's like you just made that leap from nowhere. Other than, oh, it's in the script. That's it. You know what I mean?
As he looks back at his script.
Yeah. Oh shit! Scroll.
No,
I'm with you. I like those are some overused
By the way,
concepts.
I'm clicking, not scrolling.
I think part of it is that in the 90s there was a game called Vampire the Masquerade, and it was so incredibly influential for vampire culture that a lot of the things that was introduced in the Masquerade, you used the term masquerade earlier, really seeped into the vampire culture. So when you go to see a vampire movie, like a lot of those things, even if you didn't play the game, are so ingrained in that you have to break free of that. Like the Vampire Council, the Masquerade, the sexy vampires. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they really reinforced.
Well, there's, you have to have, I mean, you don't have to have anything, but either the vampires are completely animalistic and they only come out at night and they have no voices or plans whatsoever, or you have a vampire council that's been containing the situation for years, or some other force that's been containing. Dude, all right, if the vampires can actually think, if they have any common sense at all, and they've been around that long, then they would be guiding us towards cattle fields. That's the only thing that makes sense, unless they're like one of these very small-minded people that think that the meat tastes different if the animal is scared at the time that it's killed or whatever that.
That was the plot of it, though. That's the reason why he scares
sure,
the kids.
Yeah, and that's completely, yeah. The meat tastes better when it's scared, or when you sneak up on the deer and shoot it. No, it doesn't taste any different whatsoever. You're a moron. But
no.
Guys, it's something that you've been.
I've eaten a lot of scared people before.
Have you eaten a lot of scared people? Yeah, because the bacon tastes better if you comfort the pig. Come on.
A little bit.
No, it's bacon. It's overcooked pork. Okay.
Hey, we're not at the Mad Dog section yet.
But seriously, though, if they have even a modicum of intelligence, they're going to start guiding human society into cattle fields. They're going to want to keep up our numbers, keep down theirs, and keep us healthy and fat so they can eat us. So either you have to have a council that's contained the situation for however long this has gone on.
Okay, but how are we going to? I would buy the Council of Vampires if it was set. If our movie was set in Rome. Oh, fucking vampire Rome movie.
That'd be interesting.
We tried making a slasher in Rome, but we ended up steampunk. Anyway. If it was set in like Rome or the Middle Ages, I would buy that. But how nowadays, 2017, is there going to be a council? Is there's like it's like you're a vampire? Oh shit! I gotta check my daily news blog on the internet. Are they like
they do that in Daybreakers?
I think it's more likely in modern society because I mean you're just talking about a different government.
Yeah.
But how? Seriously, governments don't. How is it going to be secret though? Or are we not talking secret? Like, it's well known that vampires exist.
What really happened at Area 51?
It was a weather balloon.
Was it a weather balloon? It's completely released. All the information's out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no. You've read the official reports.
Thank God the government doesn't lie.
Completely released now. Yeah.
Well, I think.
I mean, no. Of course, everybody. I mean, there are things that absolutely they cannot tell us. That the government can't tell. You can't. They're absolute because we can't trust 300 million people to keep a secret.
I guarantee you. No one wants to believe aliens more than me. I guarantee you, aliens have not have visited this planet because if NASA had evidence that alien, you know how NASA gets money? NASA gets money from the tax dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, so if NASA had evidence that aliens existed, they'd be like, motherfuckers, we got give us some more money. We'd be making it rain on NASA. So they're not hiding evidence that aliens.
Right, but that's the whole point there. But there is no evidence, but they're not going to release any paperwork because they want to keep the conspiracy going.
That's for whatever reason.
Because it does fund. I mean, that's whether you.
I believe the conspiracy theory is they allowed the aliens mythos to exist, the conspiracy to exist. Because they were like listening. It was the Cold War. I think they were listening in on Russia or something, and they didn't want that shit to come out. So they're like, aliens, sure, okay. Yeah.
Well, regardless of the reasons, I mean, it's there's still a conspiracy involved.
All right, fair enough.
A conspiracy to create the mythos or the
As always, I lose.
You don't have to take that.
I don't know if there's any losing to an Area 51 experiment.
No. The Council of Vampires. The Council of Vampires.
Well, my opinion on the Council of Vampires is that when you start looking at vampire powers, it makes them incredibly easy to hide in modern day. Like you get all of the social media and all of the interconnection we have today, so they can separate out their information and get it to the people that need to have it. And then when the government shows up and goes, why are you draining 3 million people of their blood? They can just be like, oh, there is no vampire here. and
The
then they
Jedi
walk away.
mind trick me. There's no vampires here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is built into the vampire mythos is memory modification and mesmerization.
We are not the mythological creature you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean that's
The,
Jedi mind trick.
werewolves are down the street.
Yeah. I mean, I think
all right,
you just
fine.
give that pressure. I think it
What,
works
you like
better.
councils too?
Yep.
Fuck you, Tyler. Anyway,
I like how everyone else gave long speeches. And the reason I just said yep.
Fuck you.
things we want to change. Is there anything we want to change?
About
The cinematic lore.
my big change is I want the mysticism back rather
Yeah,
than
okay.
the science and technology. Like the shit they did in Underworld
But you just
was
talked-
boring as hell.
But you just talked about social media and all that crap. You're putting the science back in it.
I want the council to be run by science. I don't want my vampires run by science. Like I want my vampires to be
You want
concerned
your
about
cake
the
and eat
sun.
it too.
I do, yes.
Cake.
Because I like the
we have
idea
cake?
of a
Where's the
mystical.
That's
like,
the
cake's
reason I came
totally
back.
I know,
alive.
I was
right?
told that
there
there
was
would be
supposed
cake.
to be cake.
I brought pizza last week. You all missed the pizza. Things we love.
used my
What do we
money.
love? What are some things we love about the vampire genre?
Sexy vampires.
Really, you like sexy vampires?
Well, I mean, not like Edward Cullen sexy vampires, but
Okay.
sexy vampire.
I mean, every vampire movie has a lesbian vampire kiss, so
Yeah, why is that?
I,
Look at the people that watch vampire movies. You watch vampire movies.
I don't like the lesbian kiss.
That answers that question.
Is there a new angle we can take? Is there like a new angle we can approach it?
I feel like vampires is got a lot of
Is that well
unmined
completely-
territory.
Or you think it's untapped?
Yeah, but I think
We
so
gonna-
many
we
people
gonna
are
tap it?
unwilling to experiment with the mythos and go outside.
Throw something out real quick.
Top
Top your head. Don't think. Throw something out.
Gay vampires.
No, that's been done.
Morlocks and Eloy.
Which is what?
You redo the
The
time
time
machine.
machine?
The time
Yeah.
machine only. The Morlocks are vampires that live
Oh,
underground and they hunt the
Morlocks.
killing
Okay,
fields
right.
with Eloy, and they have to solve that problem and go back and find out where everything went wrong in society.
What if we did?
That way.
Okay. What if we did? Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go for it.
No, okay. What if we did a 7? Okay, 2 detectives, a brutal murder. They're investigating it, and it's a vampire.
The vampire did it, or
The vampire did it. No, it's a cop procedural. It's a police procedural movie.
Okay,
That-
but
that's
the
supernatural.
detectives are vampires and they have
No,
to
no,
figure
no, no, no.
That's
no.
supernatural.
Forever Night?
yeah, I love that show. Oh, I love that show.
No. The cop.
Hello,
This
Nicholas.
is a police procedural. They go to a murder scene, and the forensics dude's like, dude, this is like guys drained of blood.
That's supernatural.
The Simpsons did it first. Any other angle?
The idea I would kind of want to do is like a conspiracy suspense like movie where, like you were talking about, or like Mike was talking about, making us all fatten and leading us towards the cattle pits. Let that be like the central point. So we have like this family or grouping of vampires that runs not
think
McDonald copyright, and they are like this handing out food to everyone, fattening them up, and then we run this blood service. Come in, we're gonna drain you.
I think that's been done though.
They did that in Supernatural.
It's. I think
Did.
Daybreakers did that as well.
Well, Daybreakers, everyone was a vampire. Like you
Daybreakers-
had to have that industry. I'm talking about like a shadow organization.
But isn't that always like a subplot though? Because Blade 2, I think they had. Didn't they have that?
The bar.
The blood.
Where like they were bringing.
No, that
humans.
was that was Blade 1.
Blade 2 had the
They had the blood bank. right?
the vampires.
The vampires that went after vampires.
Yeah,
The vampire
really
vampires.
wish we-
the,
I really wish we were on YouTube. For that. That's the best thing.
the predator vampires. Yeah.
If you
I haven't seen Blade 2 in forever, but now I know every scene in that movie right now.
okay, all right. So we're going with the Council of Vampires. Can I at least have the vampires be monster looking? Like maybe they change into monsters.
Oh yeah,
Give me
that'd be
something.
cool.
Give me
Like a shape shifting thing like they did in Buffy.
Okay. And all right, and then we're
Scrolling.
lose again. Okay. some of our favorite vampire flicks. I'm just gonna throw mine out there. You throw yours out as I go. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm talking the one with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman. Yeah, like yay, nay, okay.
Yeah.
30 Days of Night. Yay, okay.
Mhm.
You want to see the sequel to that? The Sci-Fi exclusive?
No.
Um,
If it was sci-fi exclusive, then it's probably.
it followed, but it followed the storyline in the comic book, but it was not done well. This one, I'm hoping I have high hopes that you've seen this. My Best Friend's a Vampire,
Oh yeah.
starring Robert Sean.
Absolutely,
Robert
yeah,
Sean
great
Lynn.
movie, great movie.
I used to watch that. That was back when kid movie or young adult movies like it involved him going to a hooker. Like you'll never see a young adult movie like that anymore. This one's a really corny one. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh, love that
that's-
movie.
But
that's
it's not.
my
It's a guilty
favorite.
pleasure though.
Love
Oh
it.
no way, that's my favorite.
Dude,
Love
have you
it.
rewatched it lately though?
I granted I haven't.
Rewatch
but
it and
There's
get back to me.
so many great scenes.
Yeah.
In that.
I agree, but it's not as good as you remember. 'Cause I rewatched it lately.
Oh, I've watched it 100 times, dude.
It's-
It's an excellent flick.
I love that movie.
Blade.
And one of the minor Baldwins actually gets to be a hero. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, he falls in love with that hooker.
Sure.
Dies in the jeep.
Yeah.
I think he
He
drives
turns.
away.
Oh,
He turns.
Did
he turn?
Yeah, he turns. Jimmy
Spoilers.
Woods lets him stay alive.
Yeah, it's only 13
Yeah,
year
it's-
old,
no.
23 year old.
Yeah, it's 20, 25 at least.
Yeah.
It's
That
an
was
old,
on my
old
watch
movie.
list for tomorrow.
Really? Wow.
Blade.
Blade. Yeah, Blade's
I like Blade. Blade 2.
Blade created Marvel Studios, man.
I don't. Did anyone watch the TV show? The
Oh, I love. Yeah, the
Was it
series
pretty
was
good?
great. Yeah,
Was it? Okay.
it was really good.
Um,
Only lasted one season, but it was awesome.
I like all of the From Dusk Till Dawn, even the Netflix shows. The Netflix series is awesome. Is anyone watching them?
Well, it's an AMC series, but it's not.
No, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix now. Not now. Is it?
No,
Has it
it-
been transferred over to Netflix? Is that what?
No, it started on the El Rey network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know. I
It,
knew
it
it was.
follows the Gecko brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've
I've watched
only
the
seen
first
the
season. I
first
haven't
one.
watched it.
You haven't seen? Oh,
I've only seen the first one.
okay. Watch. Okay, the first one's really good. Number 2 is okay. Number 3, The Hangman's Daughter, is just pure fun, and then the series is pretty cool.
Yeah, the series is really messed up. It's fun.
And then here's this little fact. According to antiquesandthearts.com, a complete and authentic vampire killing kit, circa 1800, sold for $14,850. Moving on.
When the vampires rise up, worth every penny.
I seen it. It was cool looking.
Not Dracula 2000. You don't like Dracula 2000?
I do.
Oh, it was okay, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Like that.
You don't like the whole Judas is Dracula? Cause
That was a new take. That
Because
was
you
a new
threw
take.
a
I kinda
fit
liked it.
when they basically hinted that the Phantom Stranger was Judas.
Yeah, I did not like that.
I love Christian mythology.
See?
I love when they do stuff like that. Like I like Judas's Dracula. There was one where Christ was the first vampire.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Like that was a really awesome concept because that was the trapped in a cave for 3 days and then rose out and he came back as the first vampire and infected.
Okay, since
Like that was awesome.
Since you brought it there, I'm not gonna poke fun at anything, but I kind of avoid that topic. But can some of the things we can change, like the cross hurting a vampire? What if it's not a Christian? What? Because vampires are in other religions, so why does the cross affect?
That's actually addressed in the game that I talked about earlier, Vampire the Masquerade. The cross is the most iconic one because that's the most widely used symbol amongst religions that hunt vampires. But they talk about it how it's not the cross itself; it is a person who believes in that faith brandishing an item of their faith. So in that mythos, a Jewish rabbi brandishes a Star of David and turns a vampire just as easily as a Christian priest with a cross does.
Okay, I'll buy that.
And that originates from Fright Night, which is one of the best vampire movies you'll ever see.
What do you think of the remake?
Huh? The original.
No. What did you think of the remake?
Oh, it was terrible.
Okay.
So was the the sequel to it. They made a sequel to the remake,
Really?
which was just as awful.
Does
I'd
that
pay
straight to
good
DVD?
money to see
Yes.
a Jewish vampire hunter.
Like that'd be really cool. Like why don't
Like
we,
you can
hey,
whip out some Star of David and just be like,
Oh, what if it was a Hasidic Jew vampire hunter? That would cut a cool. I'm not joking around. That would cut a cool silhouette. You know, that would be cool. I like that idea. I'm back on board with this movie. Okay, so we're moving on to werewolves. all the freaking research I did, like I found this werewolf wiki. I was like, oh fuck, cool. I'm writing down all this shit. It's from Supernatural. I was so pissed off. I was on that website for an hour typing stuff, and I found out it was werewolves from Supernatural.
Do you know that all the wikis, it says Supernatural on it?
It was on the Supernatural wiki.
Right, but I thought it meant...
You didn't... You
I didn't know it
like,
mean
why
the
does it
TV
keep
show.
saying Sam and Dean? I don't understand
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know.
Who the hell are Sam and Dean?
I
Why
thought,
do
they
they...
meant, I thought they meant the term Supernatural. I didn't think they meant the show Supernatural.
No. Every major fandom has its own sub-wiki. It's...
God, I was so pissed off.
Why
You have
does
no
he
idea how
write
pissed
stuff?
off I was. I spent an hour on that damn thing.
But one of the things I want to know is why were you just typing the website? Why didn't you just copy and paste it?
Dude, I can get sued
Maybe-
for not slander. I get sued for
Plagiarism?
Thank you.
So you just wrote it verbatim?
Yeah.
No, I searched
Yeah.
for it. I was like, who is the Sam and Dean? I'm not fucking using that.
How,
name.
you're good, dude. Nobody gets sued over plagiarizing a wiki page. You can get suspended from school, but you don't get sued.
Well,
Anyway.
Adam gets an F for plagiarism.
Anyway, okay, moving on to werewolves.
So where you just searched
I-
Wikipedia, werewolf Wikipedia?
No. I
or-
bet you he typed in Supernatural wiki.
No, I typed in werewolf.
Did
it
you
came up-
did you
it
type
came-
Jared Paladicki's abs after it or something like that? Or,
I typed in- I typed in-
I love Cass.
I am so editing this out. I typed in werewolf, and like I never go to the first website. I don't know why.
the
It's just-
relevant one, yeah.
I never go to that
Yeah.
one. And then the second one was it said werewolf, and then below it said Supernatural wiki, and I
Yeah.
thought it meant the term supernatural.
Wait, sorry, that...
Yeah, that's
I don't want to hit the table with the mic on it.
dual head desk
Wow.
for those watching at home.
Okay, so so we're moving on to werewolves. Does anyone remember the poem from the Wolfman, the Universal Monster Wolfman?
God, it's
Do not
God.
Google. Oh, I thought you were googling.
God, I'm trying to think of that, and I'm coming up with the Green Lanterns.
Alright,
Darkest Day and Blackest Night. I'm like, all right.
That's where they
There's-
stole it
there's-
from.
So-
you're very close. Even a man who is pure in heart
Yeah,
and
that's-
says his prayers by night
Yeah.
will become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
Yeah.
Beware my power.
Beware my power.
Wolfman's Light.
Wolfman's Light.
There's
Okay.
our
Hey,
movie.
man, now I want a lantern core of supernatural creatures, not the show.
I want to see how Jordan get bitten in the Justice League movie. Maybe Zach will go with that.
Maybe Captain Werewolf. Didn't Captain America turn into a werewolf?
Yep,
There you go.
Captain Warwolf.
Okay, going once again. Movie definition of werewolf. We're not talking Native American skinwalkers. Cinema version. What do we got? Anyone come up with one?
Bitten by a werewolf. Turns into a werewolf at the full moon.
I got werewolf parentheses lycanthrope. Thank you. A person who changes for.
You got that off Wolfman Jack's
Yeah.
wiki
No,
page.
no, I knew that. I knew that from Underworld.
Werewolves, commonly radio DJs
No, yeah,
in the 1950s.
Anyway, a person who changes for
I got this
periods of
from the
time
third
into a wolf, typically where there is a full moon.
Right.
All right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Famous. God, I'm like spitting on myself. Famous movie werewolves. I have. Throw some in there if you got them.
Lon Chaney.
Well, hang on. I got famous movie werewolf. I got Larry Talbot from The Wolfman. I got Ginger from Ginger Snaps. Love that series. David Kessler from American Werewolf in London. These are the characters' names.
Yeah, I caught that.
Okay.
It's like, what the fuck is that? Oh, okay.
I got
Wow, they got a girl named Ginger to play a character in Ginger Snaps?
Will Randall from Wolf. That's Jack Nicholson's.
Yeah.
And then I just put the wolf from any Little Red Riding Hood.
What about... Is he a werewolf?
Depends on the mythos.
Yeah.
And fables he is. Got you.
What about the dude from Big Wolf on Campus?
Oh,
What about the
Yeah.
cartoon
What about Teen Wolf?
Fang?
Oh, yeah, Teen
Ah.
Wolf.
Okay.
You remember that Scooby-Doo-esque werewolf cartoon?
No,
The
tell me.
Fangsworth. It's like a curse that runs in their family. It skips a generation.
No, I don't remember that one.
That's the best. Google that shit.
All right. Okay. So ways to kill a werewolf. I only found 2, except
With a
for
silver
on the
bullet.
Supernatural wiki, but I did not count any of those. Ways to kill a werewolf. I got silver bullet. All right. Okay.
Well,
Any-
silver in general, but yeah.
Anything that destroys the brain / heart. That's all I got.
Haven't you ever seen Sandlot, where she's like, you can kill it with a stick with a silver handle?
Moving on.
No. All right.
Anyone else got anything?
They're common, depending on the mythos, they're commonly allergic to wolf's bane. It acts like a poison.
But that's some poison to humans too, isn't it?
Maybe?
Well,
I
yeah,
don't-
I don't think you could. It's they're allergic to it in the mythos. So if you keep wolves, it's like hanging up garlic. If you have wolf's bane, it'll keep the werewolf away from
Fang
your door.
Face. That was the
Face.
name of the cartoon. 1978.
Fing Fang Foom.
No, Fang.
No, that's a dragon.
When is that going to make it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Tomorrow.
Fing Fang Foom? I hope soon, I hope.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see Thor versus Fing Fang Foom.
No, it's an Iron Man.
Yeah, I know, normally it's Iron Man villain, but I think, I want to see Thor hit him with a hammer.
Tropes of a werewolf film. Fur against Fang. Werewolf versus vamps. That seems to be pretty common. They seem to be the tragic monster. The nice guy that... There are exceptions.
Yeah, there's a lot of exceptions.
The nice guy that... Or the misunderstood dude who tragically turns into... We all agree, besides the exceptions. Okay. Lunacy is pretty common. Obviously pretty common.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this kind of goes with the tragic monster. The transformations are usually pretty graphic, pretty hard, pretty rough on the person.
That started with American Werewolf in London. So I mean, it's
What? I like.
I don't think it was really that hard. I mean, it was just basically turn around, see the moon, all of a sudden you're covered in fur. And then
I don't know, I remember,
in Lon Chaney, I mean,
yeah, he screamed when he was human. When he
I
started
don't know. He was
transforming,
always
right?
just screaming for people to get away from him. I don't know if he was screaming because it was painful. I mean, it wasn't until
Junior.
Huh?
Lon Chaney Senior was the Phantom of the Opera.
right. That's
Right.
Lon
Oh,
Chaney
okay.
Jr., yeah, I know that.
Whenever he's right about something, he's got to make it known.
Oh yeah,
That's-
I'm
that's
very
why.
seldomly
That's
right.
why.
I'm very seldomly
That's
right.
No, it's not- I believe you.
I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It wasn't
it's
until
always-
it really wasn't until Landis that they showed the transformation being really super painful.
that's fair. I mean, they just didn't really establish it. I guess I always assumed that any
Yeah.
time that your skin is ripping and your bones are rearranging, that you're going to be in pain.
You get used to
Yeah.
it after a while.
I mean,
I mean,
Oh, okay,
especially
good
if you
to know.
first few times,
If you go back and watch Abbott and Costello versus Frankenstein and the
Skinwalker-
original Wolfman movie, it doesn't. I don't
Skinwalkers,
think,
they had a pretty rough transformation. I liked it. Was poorly done. The CGI was really bad, and it was in a really shitty movie. But the Van Helsing werewolf transformation, where he literally grabs his skin and rips his skin off, that's kind of a cool concept. But the CGI was horrible.
right.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like, if they made that movie now, that scene would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think the trope that annoys me the most on werewolf films is the fact that the first 45 minutes of every werewolf film has to be boring as shit. Because it's like, okay, 15 minutes of dude gets bit, half an hour of what's happening, and then suddenly...
and lady. Ginger
Right.
was a lady.
Fair enough, and lady.
But it really is. It's a dude turning into a dog. I mean, you've got to build up to the.
It's-
There's not really a lot you can do. It's not like a vampire movie where they've got 15 different powers.
Well, yeah, it's
but
kind of the
pick
same.
that pace
It's
up,
kind of the
though.
same concept as a haunted house, because the ghost, you got to come in, you got to establish the house, you got to establish that there might be a ghost, and then the ghost has to build up power. But it turns out that the ghost that's in the house has been around since the 1800s, so it should have had all that time to build up. It's the same. It's the same shit for haunted house.
Are we
movies.
back? Is nobody bringing up the word foreplay because we're back down to PG-13? Is that?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep
We've
it down.
cussed
Okay.
way too much.
Oh,
We'll go back to
Because
PG-13.
what they're describing, kids, is foreplay.
I'm doing my best to keep bite my tongue.
Like, I understand that, like, you need to have those kind of build-up moments, especially in a horror movie, but for a werewolf movie, I feel like you could just speed that process up. Like, establish the dude, okay, 10, 15 minutes, he gets bit, she gets bit, and then rather than spend 25 minutes of, oh, maybe I'm a werewolf, and then the 45 minutes of, I'm a werewolf, Why don't we?
Yeah, then you gotta learn the rules. And
Yeah, why don't we just in 10 minutes transform? Oh no, I'm a werewolf. What am I gonna do? And then we have all of the stuff like bring all of that origin story into the first 20 minutes.
Do an opening credits bit montage, and then like just jump into narration and be like, so that's the day I became a werewolf. And then
no.
Actually,
But it's nothing quite like that, I don't think.
it's
But
kinda-
I
I
mean,
was just going
speed
for
it
the
up
comedy.
still.
It's kind of like our first episode where we were talking about superheroes. Do we really need an origin story? Do we really need to explain what a superhero is? Can we just have the main
There's a
character?
lot of stupid people.
Can we just have the main character be a werewolf?
You know, there's not a lot of difference between the werewolf and the Hulk. So it's that would be
Yeah,
the way to
well,
go. So,
that,
you know,
Mr. Jekyll and Mr.
Yeah.
Hyde, Dr.
Yeah,
Jekyll,
the whole
Mr.
the
Hyde.
whole deal. So it's you could show that you could have the werewolf, the whole attack and transformation, everything happen in the opening credits, and then the rest of the episode could be him being hunted and searching for a cure.
Could you do it through flashbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could do it like a flashbacks idea is a good one. Kind of measured, 2 or 3 minutes here, 2 or 3 minutes there. Like I just hate the first. Like if you put it in a werewolf movie, 9 times out of 10 you can just skip the first half, and all the good stuff's in the second half.
Just no foreplay with you, man.
Right to business.
Right to business.
I mean, I'll put it on in the background, and I'll go do some other stuff. And when you're ready for me, I'm ready for the werewolves.
It's like Marvin.
Oh, okay. I'm
Marvin,
glad he added werewolf at the very end because I was getting really confused.
Marvin Gaye's
That's the-
on the CD. We're going off to the. Okay, so that's
I paid my money. I want it now.
so that kind of leads into our next. When does it take the right one? Things we want to change, things we love, a new angle. Things we want to change is clearly the foreplay. Feel bad for your girlfriend.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
This is my traditional going to the bathroom.
You gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be right back.
Things. What
Keep
do we?
going.
Okay. What do we love about vampire movies?
I got a question.
Werewolf
I got a
movies.
question though.
Yeah. What's
So say you've got someone, that is a paraplegic or something, and they get bit by a werewolf. Does
So,
the werewolf, the bite, does that completely reform them while they're in that werewolf state?
Silver Bullet. Corey Haim was in a wheelchair. Did he get bit?
I haven't seen Silver Bullet, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I know in other mythos, and I always go back to the games, but there's a healing or a regenerative property to the disease. That's why you can't die by normal means, because you keep healing. You heal too fast to die.
So then when he stops being a werewolf, does he go back to needing that?
Yeah. Okay.
Well-
Okay. So you got a human, becomes a werewolf. What if you kill the human? Is it like the Hulk, where the wolf side stops it?
Yeah, like in most mythos, from my understanding, the wolf form is just an alternate form to take. The core person is the werewolf. So whether you are human or wolf, you are immune to everything but silver.
So you're always a werewolf.
You're always a werewolf. It just depends on what
It's just a two
form you take, either the wolfy form or the human form, or depending on mythos, all the stages in between, or the man-wolf hybrid.
So literally, Tyler's a werewolf. I can come up and I get non-aluminum bullet or some shit. I can shoot him in the head, and he won't die.
In most mythos,
Let's
no.
find out, ladies and gentlemen.
In most mythos, no, he would survive that because he is a werewolf. He just doesn't have his claws and his fur out.
That's what I want to see. I want to see some dude in a wheelchair that's like forced to go to some summer camp he doesn't want to be. That gets bit by a werewolf.
That's basically Silver Bullet, though. Is what
I
I'm
haven't
saying,
seen.
right? I haven't seen it.
And
I
Cars
mean, I
is
have
basically
seen-
Doc Hollywood. We're talking about this movie that I want to make.
Cars is basically Doc Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a 2-year-old son. I get to watch Cars all the
Okay.
time. So, that's what I want to see. I want to see some kid get bit by a werewolf in a wheelchair, and then whenever he's in his human form, he's got to pretend that he's in that wheelchair still.
That would be a really interesting movie. I would watch that.
Or what if he doesn't have to pretend? What if he's in human form? He's always in a wheelchair, but he can.
That would make more sense with the mysticism. It wouldn't
That way,
cure
no-
anything that you're in your human
Everyone's
state,
like,
but you would be,
they're
you
like,
would both be
Frank
fully
can't,
mobile.
Frank can't be the wheelchair. Frank can't be the wheelchair. Frank can't be the werewolf because he's in a wheelchair.
But then it'd be cooler because it's like he can know that he can get up and kick all these people's asses. And
As a wolf.
no, but
Yeah,
he can do it as a human too because he's the werewolf still. Like the werewolf
So
bite
basically
him better.
Peter Parker. He's got to hide his secret identity and not beat up on Flash Gordon or Flash Thompson.
Flash
Sorry,
Gordon.
Flash.
Yeah.
So
Flash
he's got
Gibson,
Probably
sorry.
be a
he's
Flash
gotta keep
Gordon
this-
too.
Flash Gordon too, because you know.
He's got to keep this animalistic rage, and he's just gonna be like, "Yep, I'm just sitting here."
Yeah, I am so far behind Tyler. It's not even funny. I am supporting this.
That's it.
I am down.
Call up JJ.
Let's
Get him on board.
I'm
No,
calling
JD.
JD for you.
Lens
Yeah,
flare.
I mean, JD's got a lot less on his plate.
JD.
There's a JD Abrams somewhere listening to this podcast going, "Aww."
he's got his checkbook out. I was like, I'm gonna. You know
I
what?
think that'd be an awesome movie.
I don't know if this is a werewolf, but I really like Bixby Wolf from Fables.
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
a
a
werewolf.
werewolf?
Yeah.
Okay,
In the Fables universe, he's a werewolf.
I
Yeah.
kind of dig that. Do we like the werewolf where it's a bipedal wolf with a wolf, basically a man with a wolf's head, or do we like the actual wolf? I kind of like.
I got arguments for both, man.
I really like the animalistic quad. Go ahead.
Quadrupedal.
No, I was
uh,
just going to continue going. Go ahead.
To me, a werewolf is bipedal. Is a bipedal wolf monster creature. If you're turning into a big dog, you're a shapeshifter. You're not a werewolf, in my opinion. Because that's just in my.
You can't argue shit with a comic book owner, Dungeons and Dragons style. You can't argue.
No, I mean there's legitimacy for both. I mean, lycanthropy can only be defined in so many different ways. But when I think of a werewolf, and the things I want to see from a werewolf, I want to see man turn into giant, cool, awesome wolf hybrid thing to go on a rampage. Not he turns into slightly bigger than a German Shepherd. That's boring.
No, I'm
to
talking.
me.
I'm talking like dire wolf size.
Still, he's a big dog.
You
He's
don't
not
watch
a
Game of
werewolf.
Thrones. How do you know what a dire wolf is?
I know everything.
And that is just my opinion. It is not popular. It is not common. But to me,
Stanbridge.
I could go both ways on this one. I mean, I like them both. I love the
That's what I
classic.
heard about you.
Well, you'll find out later in the car. I love the Lon Chaney version, but I also love the John Landis version. So, and those are the two classic examples of both.
Right.
You know.
What about Wes Craven's Curse?
I don't think I saw that one.
Exactly.
I-
Not too many people did.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I love Christina Ricci. I got a crush on
I
Christina
I actually have that soundtrack at home because I love the soundtrack to that movie.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I loved it.
But I think
Loved
those
it.
are the two classic examples of each form. I mean,
Yeah, I would agree.
Lon
Oh,
Chaney
right, yeah.
as the bipedal and John Landis's version as the four-legged monster. You know.
Wait, okay. So, a new angle. If we're gonna write one, what's the new angle? Do we have a new angle? Is it well
I
tapped
told
or
you the
what?
whole entire story.
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
like that.
But you
Do
already-
we have a version in cinema where they can choose which form they're in? Like, why does it have to be like an IO? Why does it have to be human
No,
or wolf?
because it's a curse.
Why can't?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. Otherwise,
I don't like it.
otherwise it's shape-shifting.
But what if they had like you could
That was
go?
a weird bromance.
I like being called on my shit.
That's the classic callback, ladies and gentlemen.
I kind of like the idea that maybe this guy can turn into the big dog, or he can have this bestial form. Personally,
Oh, you mean okay?
like
I
let
thought you
him
meant-
choose.
That does happen in a lot of series.
Like I've seen it a lot of, like in games, but I haven't seen it in movies.
That
really.
Canadian series with the chick not too long ago, the wolf.
Wolf
what's-
Lake?
Wolf? No, not Wolf. Was it Wolf Lake?
I think so. I had Lou Diamond Phillips in it.
No. That one. Okay, that one they did it in that one too. They could turn him
Uh,
whenever he wanted, but it's.
Okay, but I like the idea of the curse. I like it not being a choice. It's like Seth Green in Buffy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they
he
had-
gained control of it
Willow had to
eventually.
I remember one episode. It was probably in a lot of episodes, but he always had to be like bound down. So what's the new angle we can come up with?
You see, that's kind of why I don't want to do that, because so many people do the curse and the binding and, oh, I'm perfectly sweet and normal like this, but as soon as I become a werewolf, I'm dangerous. No, be a werewolf at all the time. Like, make it more, like, to me that's the same thing that, you see it in Buffy, you see it in Vampire Diaries, you see it everywhere, and to me it's just
working for Big
overdone.
Wolf? Are you working for Big Wolf?
I am working for Big Wolf, you've caught me. But I think you make it something different. You know, maybe don't make it a curse of the wolf, make it a blessing of the wolf, or the blessing of a creature, because lycanthropy doesn't have to be a wolf.
Yes, it does actually. Because hang on, I looked that up. Lichen is
Bitten was the name of the one.
okay.
Yeah, and it just ended after like 4 seasons.
Lichen is actually, I believe, Greek or Roman for wolf.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Sorry. Happened once.
What?
No.
Oh, okay.
Both, no.
Okay.
I'm going to sit back over here.
So, okay. So, favorite werewolf flicks. I'll throw mine out. You can. Ginger Snaps, the series of Ginger Snaps, I really liked that. I thought it was cool. The Underworld series, guilty pleasure. I liked it. I did not like the one with that did not star Kate Beckinsale. But
Rise of the Lycans?
yeah, Underworld 3. It was alright. The original Wolfman, I really liked that a lot. I liked the Benicio del Toro one. I don't see why no one didn't like it, but it was
The more recent remake.
yeah. Anthony
Yeah.
Hopkins, Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, that one was decent. I didn't mind that one.
Anyone else want to throw anything out there?
American Werewolf in London. You missed
Oh,
it.
that's a
That's
classic.
got humor in it, though. I mean, you know I don't do humor.
Not that much humor. It's pretty. It's,
Cursed. Cursed is
I did, yeah.
love
That's true.
Cursed.
Okay, I didn't think of Cursed in it. Okay, and here is a little trivia here. Werewolf, the German spelling of it, was a code name for one of Hitler's headquarters. All right, moving on.
There's your Nazi fact for the day.
There's your Nazi fact.
Let's not make that part of the podcast.
No, no. All right, we're moving on to the Kaiju.
Nazi trivia episode.
The Kaiju section of the podcast. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, Batra, Rodan, Mothra, and help me out here, King Ghidorah.
Ghidorah, yeah.
Ghidorah are some of the kaiju Godzilla have fought. Who was going to be Godzilla's ultimate opponent?
Who was Godzilla's ultimate?
Who was going to be Godzilla's ultimate opponent?
I think it's King Gojira.
Yeah. That or Mechagodzilla. I mean, it would.
I got nothing.
Godzilla vs. the Devil, 1978. Godzilla was going to face off against a
Okay,
slave.
this is one of those really poorly phrased trivia questions that you keep doing.
What?
You can't see my screen, so I'm going to. Who was?
Godzilla.
They are still making Godzilla movies.
Okay, so here's the problem with that trivia question. Okay,
Oh, fuck.
okay.
Here we go.
Here's the trivia question: is it A, B, C, or D? Gotcha. It was F.
Yeah. Anyway, come on. Godzilla vs. the Devil.
Who played Bill Cosby's daughter in Leonard Part 6? You know?
Only the movie version.
There was a TV version?
No. The series. Leonard Part 6, the series. You didn't see that?
Godzilla was going to face off against a slate of monsters: a giant spider, a giant fish, and a giant bird. The climax of the film was to feature a brawl between Godzilla and the devil himself, or herself. It was supposed to have a budget of $4 million and a runtime of 110 minutes. And I wrote this with a little dramatic flair. Alas, it was not to happen because Toho Productions says it was never interested in the script or the idea.
That's a shame.
Imagine that.
That's a shame. That's like Godzilla movie I'd watch.
I don't know.
American-
Godzilla versus Satan.
America wrote the script, and
because in 1978 it had to be everything versus Satan.
yeah,
What would cause Satan to fight Godzilla?
came up from the center of the earth. I guess it didn't.
So what?
say.
Satan's like, dude, you need to like go up there. Like you're invading my space. Like
In the 1970s, they wanted to. They did it with Doctor Who too. There was a script that they were going to make a Doctor Who movie in the 1970s. Doctor Who versus the Scratchman. Vincent Price was on board, and that one never got produced. But they always wanted they always wanted to have an iconic character versus Satan. I don't know what was going on in America at that time. I don't remember anything funky, but they always wanted to make a movie. This person versus Satan. This person versus the devil. It was weird.
1970s?
Late 1970s.
That is in response to the counterculture musical movement, I bet. Because that's
Also-
about the time Rolling Stones is getting big, and they've got all
No.
their...
No. No. 1970s? The Rolling Stones were huge by the end of the 60s.
Well, I mean, they still...
No,
you've seen,
1970s
you've
was
seen
disco whenever they were burning disco records.
Yeah, and Black Sabbath. And
That was 1973, 1974 when Ozzy was huge with Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and Rolling Stones was still huge in that time. I mean, if you weren't
Well, like, they
disco,
were
you were
huge.
counterculture. So
I don't know
mean,
about that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right,
I can
okay.
see that being an influence.
Hey, stop it. Okay, so kaiju. Let's define it. It's got a pretty strict definition.
Giant monster?
It's a Japanese word meaning strange beast. A film genre that features giant monsters usually attacking major cities and engaging the military. Famous movie kaiju. This includes kaiju apparently now includes non-Godzilla creatures. So when we start talking, let's not include Lovecraftian creatures because I want to do a podcast on them on their own. So don't include.
So
Utho
we can't talk about Godzilla versus Cthulhu?
No,
Because I would go see that movie.
I probably would too.
I would see that.
Okay, so
Especially if the old ones came out. That would be, I mean, just, like in the middle of it and put a stop to it.
no, not talk about Lovecraftian.
Going back to the
whole, sorry.
going back to the Godzilla versus the Devil, I would watch that so hard, especially if it was
I'd
like.
much rather see Godzilla versus Cthulhu.
Well, I mean, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
but I
I
mean,
would
just
do that.
imagine, like, okay, so trumpets blare, 4 horsemen come out, Godzilla's like, hey, I live here, and starts fighting the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, kills them, Devil shows up, massive brawl. Who
Would it be
cares
like-
who wins? It would be awesome.
Would it be like man-sized devil, or would it be like
That's a
Revelations?
that's a
like
tagline. Whoever wins, we lose.
like Alien versus Predator?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a copyright infringement there.
Don't worry about it.
so he's worried about getting sued from a Wikipedia page, but stealing from a movie.
Anyway,
They'll never know.
Okay, so famous movie kaiju: Godzilla and all of his buddies. My favorite, King Kong. Okay. Which I watched. I watched this movie in preparation for this podcast. The kaiju from Pacific Rim.
I love Pacific Rim. I cannot wait for
Uh,
Uprising.
Pretty much any 1950s movie monsters. The science ones, not the Universal monsters. None of those. Just, okay. The Cloverfield monster. I didn't know this, but apparently xenomorphs land in the kaiju realm.
Really? Interesting.
That's what I said. I was shocked me. And what was the other ones? The aliens from Independence Day apparently land in there too.
Okay.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't.
Xenomorph I can kind of see, but even then.
Yeah.
Did you get that off the
No.
Supernatural Wikipedia page?
No, I did not. Ways to kill a kaiju. Another kaiju?
Atomic breath?
Decapitation.
No, I'm
Decapitation.
throwing that out there. Another kaiju.
A stake through the Silver Heart.
I didn't get
Ooh.
that. Military weaponry of some kind. And this is my attempt at humor. Beauty killed the Beast.
Ah.
You gotta be a nerd to get that one.
I got it. I just
got
can't
it,
believe
dude.
you
It's-
said it.
Fuck, you guys suck.
It's
You can't throw me a bone.
so overused.
'Twas beauty that killed you.
Well, I was talking about the original one where these.
Yeah, I know, and everybody knows it, and it's been used to death.
You know,
Why'd
I
you look
tried-
at me and say you
I
gotta know
try
what you're talking
so
about?
hard on
You
these. You guys
do,
don't throw me a
you
bone.
do.
Okay,
So I feel like this list of all of the lists is the things that would kill anything will kill a kaiju. A giant monster will kill it. Guns will kill it.
no guns.
Missiles
no,
will
no,
kill
no,
it.
no, guns
Okay,
won't kill
well,
it. It's
the
gotta
thing
be
is
like
military armaments.
weaponry, like nuclear warheads, like.
Well, that's gonna kill a lot of stuff.
So a
But it
tank
does.
isn't a military weapon?
No,
tank
it's-
wouldn't kill it.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. Tank wouldn't
Uh,
kill
No,
it.
no. All those movies, and I've watched them all, are like watching a heavyweight bout. It's those. None of those things individually will kill a kaiju. It's 15 rounds of
Right. It's
having
kinda-
the
right.
shit kicked out of you by other kaiju, or have had, God, how many missiles do they fire in one of those movies?
Fair.
you know.
Or you gotta
And
be
not
Fey
one
Ray.
of those things. It's not.
You gotta be Fey Ray.
So basically, kaiju fights.
He's
are-
got it.
Huh?
Stanford's got it.
What's that?
That's
Fey
a
Ray?
basic
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Fey Ray.
But kaiju fights are like a video game. And
Right.
they're all like facing a boss before you level up.
Well,
You
what's that?
you can't just You know,
What
there's
is
not
it?
one weapon that's gonna
Rampage.
hit.
It's basically
Yeah.
Rampage.
Well, yeah.
Which
well,
Dwayne The
yeah,
Rock
Rampage
Johnson-
yeah, but you don't actually fight a monster in Rampage. You just destroy
You are the
buildings.
monster, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about facing a boss in a first-person shooter. How many bullets does it take to finally kill it?
7.5.
No.
The half is a ricochet.
And in Rampage, tanks did kill you.
Yes, they did. But,
No, I
but that
didn't.
also took more than one. It took more than one hit.
Yeah.
Okay. Tropes of a kaiju flick. I got rising from underwater or beneath the earth, hollow earth, or space.
Oh, where else did they come out of?
My butt.
That is-
Ah,
that
Not
big-
seeing that one.
The underwater terrifies me, man. Stuff surfacing from underwater
'Cause you can't-
scares the crap out of me.
That's why Shadow of the Colossus is a creepy ass game.
All right. Another trope: the consequences of military testing, radiation, nuclear waste, human effect on nature.
Yeah.
Is another okay. The ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny.
Ali versus Foreman. Yeah.
Rumble in the jungle. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you knew that.
Yep. What's the one in Manila? The Thrilla
Thrilla
Manila.
from Manila.
Okay. Then there's also, I didn't know this, Rent-a-Zilla is a subtrope where the work doesn't focus on the monster. A not-Zilla is a kaiju that is specifically an XP of Godzilla.
X.
EXPY. This one I did copy and paste. If kaiju offspring appear, expect gigantic adults, tiny babies, crosses over with behemoth battle when there are more than one kaiju. In more modern works, kaiju are often afflicted with the proportionally ponderous parasites.
Did you like that alliteration at the end?
Stan Lee wrote that. That's twice I used that joke.
Exported character.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny the first time I used it.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay.
So, yeah, from tvtropes.com. So we have
That's
to
exactly where I got it.
Oh, Jesus, Adam.
That's exactly where I got it. Okay.
You need to research your slang a little bit too there.
So, I
don't think that's
He was-
a commonly used.
He was hoping
trope.
that everybody else knew, so they'd be like, "Oh yeah."
I figured if I
gotcha.
said it with
We got
commanding-
nerds in the other one
Yeah.
next to you.
I just figured if I said it with commanding force, it'd be like, oh fuck, he knows what he's
You
talking
didn't
about.
say it with commanding.
You stumbled over the word.
XP, X5, X.
And the sad thing is that you copied and pasted that, when you could have just copied exported character.
Well, that takes too much longer.
No, not that's a copy and paste.
Okay.
Not handwriting from the Wikipedia page.
Click,
longer.
click.
What does it take to what does it take to write one? Things we want to change, things we love, and new angle.
Like most monster movies, the thing I want to change is the build-up. Like, okay, so I go to a
I
Godzilla.
feel so bad for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
God.
I go to a Godzilla film to see Godzilla. This most recent Godzilla film was such a letdown for me.
You son of a bitch! I love that movie.
I hated it because it was like 2 hours long, and Godzilla was in 30 minutes.
Much
of it.
like this podcast. No foreplay, money shot. That's all we got.
But no, like I don't care about the singing twins bringing Mothra from wherever the fuck.
The Motus. Motus? Is that what they're called? The twins. They were the Motu. M-O-T-U is what they were called.
Okay, the Motu twins.
Yeah, like I want to see giant monster on giant
probably right
monster
now.
action, and I want it in the first half hour. Like half-hour build-up. Okay, Godzilla fight a thing. He gets his ass whooped. Godzilla goes and heals and licks wounds. Training montage, running up the stairs, boxing, whatever, and
Dude,
then
I think
back
that-
and kill the. I want.
We need to start filming. We need to start filming Danny's take on movies. We're gonna okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm announcing it here today. Starting in 2 weeks, we're gonna have Money Shot. The Danny's adjusted movies.
But I mean,
Money shots.
I mean, yeah, seriously, that's what I want for my Godzilla movies. I want Rocky with giant monsters.
but okay, but with the 2000,
that look, the look on Adam's face, just completely. You could tell the record just skipped on the needle.
but the 2000, the new Godzilla just came out. You had to introduce Godzilla to a new audience that mouth was still soured by the money shot from the last Godzilla.
Fair, but
Thank you.
an hour and a half of watching some dude run from shadows and falling debris until we finally see Godzilla.
Okay, I will agree with you. The destruction porn does get a little bit much. I agree with you. But when I like that movie because Gareth Edwards did it, and the one thing he does well is scale. Like that is one thing I hate about monster movies is when the scale is not done correctly. When there's no physics to the movie.
That's
like
fair.
when I was watching Pac Rim, there was no physics. Like they were dropped. The Jaegers were dropped into the ocean, okay, and then they were up to maybe their mid thigh, and then they would walk in the middle of the ocean, mid thigh, and then all of a sudden they would be under. You cut, and then the kaiju would be standing, and then the Jaeger would pop up out of. They were underwater. They would pop up, and then deeper. They were farther into the ocean, and now all of a sudden they're ankle deep in the ocean. I don't like that. I don't like that there's no inertia, there's no potential energy, there's none of the physics that take place. Like that's one thing I think Gareth Edwards does well.
Which is fair. I mean, they did that well in Godzilla, and in Pacific Rim, the water levels were poor.
Horrible.
Yeah, no doubt. If you were just basing your judgment on the movie on the water levels, 100%.
No, well, I like the movie. I'm just saying
I'm
that
not
was
gonna
one.
watch that movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like that scene
He works
where
for the water department.
that scene where Gypsy Danger has the boat in her hand and she swings it and
Yes,
hits
that's when I was supposed to say
Leatherhead.
it. Yeah.
That was beautiful. Like you could tell that she was winding up, and like that was awesome.
But it doesn't.
And that one felt like you could see the weight of the ship. You could see how heavy it hit, and those kind of scenes are perfect for me.
I disagree with you. No, I did not feel the physics in that movie, and I'm okay with it because if a movie tries to show the physics and reality of the way some gravity reacts on a giant creature, that's great. And then all of a sudden it just throws it out the window. That kind of pisses me off. Where Guillermo del Toro's is more like, dude, we're watching a movie. This is a movie. Turn your brain off. I'm okay with that, but it's just I was like some of the scenes it's like this is just gonna look cool.
And I mean, when you're talking about giant robots versus giant monsters, I mean,
and then they're completely submerged underwater at the end of the movie. It's like how fucking tall are you, dude? You're either ankle deep or you're underneath the water. How freaking tall are you?
You do know how deep the Mariana's Trench is, right?
Is that where they were at?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't
It
listening.
was pretty deep.
So he just went on like a 10-minute
than a
rant
few.
about.
I know how. Actually,
physics.
I didn't realize they were in the Marinara.
the Marinara Trench.
Marinara Trench.
That's the Italian rim.
And it's full of garlic that will stop them.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards. Okay, Gareth. Oh my God, Rogue One. He did Rogue One.
Yeah.
When they shot the AT-ATs with the rocket launcher and its neck bounced and then slowly that was showing the weight of an actual physical. I felt like that thing was physically in that world. Godzilla. I felt like it was physically in that world. Some of these monsters, I don't feel like they exist physically in the world. Like they come running this full tilt boogie through a building, and they don't stop. I'm like, you're running through a skyscraper, and there's no effect on this monster. I want to. That's something I want to see in a kaiju movie.
I guess that's fair, but I mean, you're talking about things that are like I liked all of the things that you hated about that, and the reason for that was because it always bugs me in like a Superman movie. Okay, so in Superman, like in one of the cartoons, there's this famous scene. Superman goes like there's a meteor or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I can just push the Earth out of the way." And Batman goes, "I don't have time to explain how that's not going to work." Yeah. But Superman's got that reasonable expectation. Hey, I could probably push this Earth out of the way. Why is he struggling to pick up a truck? I hate it when it's like Superman runs over to a thing and he struggles and strains and picks up something when he has done the same thing for everything that's heavy. So to me in Pacific Rim, these things are massive. They're nuclear powered. They've got that, or they have that weird, the power network thing that the other ones had. They're extremely strong. So the fact that there is no resistance, I thought really appealed to me, because this Gypsy Danger isn't going to strain to pick up a ship. It's not going to strain to bust through a building, because it's designed to punch something that can burst through.
But
them.
it's still on Earth, so gravity still affects it. When he picks up the freighter and he uses it as a bat, he just uses. I'm like, dude, there would be so much gravity. He would have to strain to move the bat through the atmosphere.
And there's some of that, like the scene where he grabs, I think it's whatever, Raiju, I think is his name. He grabs him by the tail and swings him and throws him. Like, you can see him do the wind up, you see him do the throw, but there's no plant my feet and grit my teeth and go through the constipation phase to lift this thing. It's swing, you see him throw, and you get that kind of weightlessness almost of something massively heavy going through the air.
Now they did answer that one where they were in the Marinara Trench, and he picks his arm up and he goes elbow rockets, and they use thrusters underwater to move the elbow. I was like, okay, fine. Why didn't you do that for the rest of the movie?
And that's a big complaint. Like, there's a lot of things like that. Like, why didn't Strike Harry Rekka use the rocket elbow sooner? Why did Gypsy Danger wait so long to use the whip and slash, the whip and sword?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot. Pacific Rim, far from a perfect movie, but it's my favorite kaiju movie.
So if you want monsters like Godzilla and King Kong to be affected by things, so when King Kong and Godzilla are traipsing through New York or wherever, so if they step on like a car or like the Bull Monument in New York, are they supposed to like scrape it off their feet? Like, is that what you're saying you want it to affect?
No. I'm talking like, no. If they're walking, when they barrel through. Okay, like show him trip on the car or something. Show.
So he steps on like a convertible and like slips like a banana peel.
Did you see Kong Island? Kong Skull Island. They showed a lot of like when he grabbed the helicopters, like they had an effect because he grabbed the helicopter and the blade cut his hand, rather than in most kaiju movies it just grabs it and he crushes the helicopter. He's like, fuck, that hurt. Like that was.
So I'd pay good money to see like Godzilla like running down New York and be like, oh shit, and like back up.
I stepped in
like,
humans again.
It's like
damn it.
It's like crap grid system. I got to go up 2 blocks.
No,
that way.
okay. So basically,
Godzilla stops at the
Yeah.
red light. Damn it!
basically what I'm
Can I have
saying.
that star map?
Basically, he would just call it Uber, dude. It's 2017. Anyway, what sells a good monster movie for me is using.
On that note, I'm out.
All right. We're almost
Godzilla
done.
calling
We're
it Uber?
almost done. Anyway,
We call Lyft.
to me,
Uber's out.
what sells a monster movie is the use of the physics in the world, because it puts it in the reality. It doesn't. It's not like when I was watching Pac Rim, I was like, oh, I'm watching a really, really well done CGI fest. When I was watching Gareth Edwards' Godzilla and the new Kong, I'm like, clearly I knew those didn't exist. I was like, oh, that looks like that belongs in that reality.
That's fair, but they did some scenes in Pacific Rim that I felt like were really well designed, like the hangar bay and Gypsy Danger for the very first one. Like, that felt realistic to me. Like the parades, like you can see them in the television where they're shooting the. That's the only time you can see Coyote Tango in the movie is they're even a parade for Coyote Tango, and they've got like streamers and confetti and stuff, and like those scenes. I don't know. I thought those scenes were well done. I thought they didn't look bad. I mean, yeah, you could tell the whole thing was designed in CG, but to me it didn't stand out poorly. Personally,
I'm just saying size is like a big thing. Being able to tell the size and the laws of physics is like a big thing.
Well, which is fair. I'm not saying you're
Stanbridge
wrong
is-
for wanting these things. I'm
Stanbridge
just saying,
is being uncommonly quiet right now.
I got nothing to add to this, guys. Yours.
So speaking of Pacific Rim, that's a movie that I want all kaiju movies to be like. we get a giant robot versus kaiju fight plus murder scene before the opening credits.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's nothing cooler than giant robots and giant monsters, and when the two are in the same movie, that's amazing.
Yeah, and we get that in the first. Like, you don't even get to know what movie you're watching before that happens.
Right.
Like, that's amazing. Like, that's the kind of pacing I want. I want to see my monsters. I want to see the things fighting them, and I want them to go to town.
No.
Solid. It's everything Danny said in the last half an hour has like serious porn undertones, man. It's just.
Okay. Okay. We'll
I might need to let loose. I might need to relax just a
I
little.
think we might need to let him alone for a little bit here, man.
Fine.
Okay, so
Fine.
We're approaching 2 hours, so we'll wrap it up. So I bitched about some of the shit some of the crap I didn't like. What are some of the things we love about kaiju movies? I don't really particularly care for, because it seems like in most monster movies, there's always the Doc Brown scientist with the weird hair who's been studying who's been studying the monster for years. No one ever believed him. The U.S. government or the Japanese government or whatever government's going to him and be like, yeah, you were right the whole time, and then they explain it. I hate those scenes. I really do.
Not a fan either.
I think the monsters just show up, be like, we go attack them with our military. That shit don't work. Let's try this. That doesn't work. You know, that what you're unnaturally quiet right now. It's making me nervous.
I'm just letting you guys go. There's not a lot of flexibility in the genre. You know, I mean, Pacific Rim was probably one of the high points. But I mean, they're popcorn movies, and you go because you want to see a fight.
Fair enough, but it's just, to me, it's just. Oh, I'm not gonna go back. Well,
it's just like going to a boxing match, and that's why you don't expect a script out of these movies ever.
Right.
You know, I mean, and like it's Cloverfield, a Pacific Rim. I mean, that's that kind of stuff. I mean. You know,
Cloverfield was another one. I didn't feel like that monster existed in that reality.
Sure.
I couldn't tell the size. Everyone's like, this thing's huge.
But it was well done. The movie was well done. And that, you know,
the movie was like a J.D. Abrams.
But any other time you try to make one of these movies, I mean, you pretty much throw. I mean, these are movies that lend themselves really to a Michael Bay type of director that throws the script out the window and is just going for special effects and the big payoff. You know?
Yeah, but I don't think they have to be.
They don't have to be, but I just don't know what I can't imagine what else you would do within them. I mean, at this point, you know, it's all been done to death. There's not a lot of workaround for a script.
I think if you're
well,
going to do,
that's what we're going to do here.
I think if you're going to do human versus monster type of environment, we've got more room to work around with. Because, like Adam said, you've got the Doc Brown know-it-all character that is exposition machine. And if you cut him out, you can't do that movie without exposition. So you have to find a new way to get that information to the viewers and to the characters. So, like, if you guys have ever seen Twister, the whole point of Twister was they had this machine and they wanted to throw it into the tornado and get information about tornadoes. So what if that was like your middle segment of the movie? So the first half is destruction porn, oh my god, the weapons don't work. Second half is we're going to put the machine in the tornado and we're going to get information about the monster. And then the third half is using the information from the machine.
No foreplay again, just...
Yeah.
Yeah, getting to the point. I do not want to watch 45 minutes of people running around screaming Godzilla before the Godzilla shows up. No, just start with Godzilla. If you want to do that, 10 minutes of people screaming, 20 minutes of Godzilla, we're done.
Here's another thing I want to change. There seems to be two, and correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be two types of monsters, right? There's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Godzilla style looking, the lizard, and then there's the weird Cloverfield where it's just like a belly with weird like and then I told you not to mention, but then there's the tentacle monster. Is there any other type of monster we could do? Like, it's kind of like Mothra. It's kind of different, but it seems like any more.
Well, it's always going to be pterodactyl, Tyrannosaurus, or a giant blob.
Yeah,
you know, that's
that's
all it's ever been. I mean, I can't think of anything else that would, you know,
because it always seems to be a spider offshoot or a reptile offshoot.
Sure.
Because Pacific Rim probably had the most interesting ones of them all. Because it had an ape, it had the thing with you had a knife.
Ape?
Yeah, Leatherback.
that the one that spit the acid?
No, that was Raiju.
Oh.
Leatherback was like kind of like had the hunched ape-like arms and it pummeled. And if I remember right,
Was he the category 4?
Not the very end. He was a Cat 3 that showed up with Raiju, the one that spit or the one that grew wings.
Oh, okay. No,
and-
Cat 5 was the one at the end.
Yeah, Cat 5 at the end. That was Slattern.
Okay.
But I mean, if you look at those, they all had different-ish designs. I mean, you still have basic dinosaur archetypes, but I mean, Slattern really looked like a displacer beast to me. You've got Knifehead, which had that razor sharp kind of rhinoceros-like style.
He's probably the most famous. If you say Pacific Rim, that's probably the first kaiju monster ever won pictures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Since we're approaching to it real quick, another thing I want to change in monster movies is if you guys ever seen an animal when it gets hurt, like you see an alpha male animal get hurt, it freaks out and it becomes even more vicious. It seems like in these monster movies, these monsters just take a beating and take. The Jurassic World, the new one with Chris Pratt, the dinosaur, the main villain of that, he's Mr. Badass through the entire movie, and I love the scene because I'm like, that's the way I want my monster to be. There's a scene at the very end, spoilers, at the very end, they release Tyrannosaurus Rex out, and then he kind of goes down, and then the big underwater monster grabs him, and you can see that dinosaur freak out. Like, that is what I think we need more in the monster movies, because that's the way animals react.
Yeah,
And you know what I mean. It's not. You don't really see that because I was looking for that in Pacific. I was specifically looking for that in Pacific Rim because I wanted to mention that on the podcast, and I didn't see any of that.
Well,
they got their throats cut and nothing. They just kept on barreling.
Yeah, because in Pacific Rim they aren't.
I knew
beasts.
he had names.
But they're not beasts. They're alien weapons in Pacific Rim. But yeah, I would totally get behind that kind of bestial mentality for the more beast-like things. Like when you watch some of the older Godzilla movies, Godzilla's a man, and he acts like a man, and he does all the things like a man does, and his enemies he fights are puppets, and they do all the things that puppets do. So I would love to see more bestial instinct in those creatures.
Okay. A new angle, real quick. Did we come up with a new angle?
I don't know. I don't think we did. Dude.
Huh?
I don't think there's
Cutting on the scientist. I think is the biggest
Yeah.
new angle we could have.
Joe, explain it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite kaiju flicks. I got 2014's Godzilla. No.
Hate it.
Kong Skull Island. Loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Eight-Legged Freaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's humorous. That's funny. I'm surprised you like that.
That's a comedy, yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell, dude?
I got my weak moments, okay?
Was Carrot Top in that one? I don't think he was.
No, he's not. David Arquette is, though. Pac Rim.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, pack.
For all my complaints, I mean, it's giant robots and monsters. So
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that's my favorite one.
And the upcoming, it's not out yet, Jason Statham, the upcoming Megalodon flick, Meg.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
All right, we're approaching 2 hours if you want to do your outro deal.
Yeah, the Damage Control podcasting is being recorded at Underdark Comics and Games in Quincy, Illinois. Check us out on Facebook at Facebook/Underdark Comics, or check out our website at underdarkquincy.com. Stop in, say hi, send us an email, give us a phone call.
And go ahead.
Tell him about the 28th.
Yeah, upcoming on the October 28th is National Halloween Comic Fest. We will be participating this year. Hopefully we'll be doing a special podcast that day.
We need that for episode 10.
Yeah, it could be our episode 10. Or
The X.
the X.
Roman numeral 10.
Oh, yes, okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, anyway, National Halloween Comic Fest. Make sure you come in and stop in. We're going to have free comics given out. 2 free for everyone who comes in the door, plus more if you partake in some of our special Halloween comic sales we're going to have going on. If you are not local, make sure you stop in at your friendly local game store or comic book store and participate in Halloween Comic Fest. It's a big thing for us comic book owners. It is basically a second free comic book day for you guys. You get free stuff. We want to see you stop in and see us.
Support brick and mortar stores.
Yes. Stop shopping on Amazon.
Yes. Send any questions, comments, concerns, ideas. to damagecontrolpodcasting@gmail.com. Let me know how funny my original jokes are because these guys are jerks. Mike? Yeah?
Bye.
All right.